Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the final episode of the winter season, of course, of this podcast, Flat Plus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm FPF Hall of Famer Brent Botkin.
And I'm Kwesi Gordon Mall.
All right, so like I said, final podcast of the season. Thank you for staying with us the whole time. Hopefully, you guys love what we did. If you hated it, I mean, if you're still watching, it's all good. All right, so obviously, championship weekend is this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday in Broussard. We had early championship matchups happen this past Monday. Today's Wednesday, so 2 days ago, down at Stade de Soccer there in Papineau. We had two championship matchups, kind of the prelude, if you will. The prelude, kind of you watch the UFC event, you had those fights that are free on TV. Then you had the main event a little later in the evening. For us, the main event, I guess you could say, is going to be Saturday and Sunday. But again, two big championship matchups happened this past Monday, so let's hop into those. We had Division 6B with the Stables taking on Impact, and in Co-Ed 1, the Merge taking on Banner Nice Tribe. We're going to start with Division 6B here. The Impact laying a beatdown, unfortunately, on the Stables, as you can see, by a score of 37-12. So congrats to Impact on winning the championship. We see the quarterback Julian Costa. We talked about him a couple times this season. 5 TD passes in that game. His counterpart David Mather for the Stables, 2 TD passes, 3 INTs. I know one of the reasons why this game was played on a Monday is because there was a scheduling conflict with one of the teams, and they both agreed to have it played on the Monday instead of having it played this coming weekend. Maybe having it played this coming weekend would have worked out better for the Stables in terms of only scoring 2 touchdowns. Because
Yeah,
that's not what you want to have in a championship game.
yeah, for sure. Unfortunately for the Stables, losing 37-12 for the championship game, like it does suck. But again, remember, Stables was they were a 12 seed, right? So I think they finished their season 4-6. So like they didn't even think they would have gotten where they got. They didn't even think they would have gone where they got in, right? So the
Right.
fact that they did make it this far, like congrats to them. It does suck to lose a game 37-12, especially when you kind of like I know I forgot exactly what player made the post, but their quarterback David Mather,
Yeah.
he had his I think he wrote it was
It's
his
cousin's wedding.
cousin's wedding. He was the best man, so they try to get the game to switch with other team. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and then Jeff kind of made some things work, and they end up playing on the Monday. So it's like you get this good feeling. Okay, guys, you know what? We don't get to have our championship game with all the other teams, but we get to have like our own day, and then you kind of lose. So unfortunately, it happens like that. But again, like I don't think they would have even thought they would have gotten this far. So I mean, it's still pretty cool the fact that they did what they did do what they had to kind of do to get to the spot they got to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, again, you make the championship game. No shade should be thrown at you. Unfortunately, again, for the Stables, just it wasn't their day offensively. Let's talk about this Impact team again. We said throughout this season on the podcast, you're one of the coaches for this team. A lot of young cats on this team really made a great impression, not just on Championship Monday, but throughout the season. In terms of competing going down the road, is this a team that's going to come back in the spring season? And whether they do or not, is this a team do you think could build on what they did and maybe add a couple more championships to the resume in the future?
Yeah, so it's definitely a team that's going to be back. They're not. I don't think they're going to be back for this spring season because what the issue is like a lot of the guys are different ages, right? So you have like a guy named Graf and a guy named Zach Carroll, and I believe there's two other guys that they're already graduated. So right now they're not at English anymore. They're in their first year of CGIP, and they're kind of in the tackle scene now. So it's kind of to a point where a lot of them are kind of busy and they can't do flag, or they're kind of just focusing more on tackle. So they're gonna probably have to like take some guys out and bring some guys in. But it's definitely I talked to literally yesterday when I was going to my 7-on-7 flag football game that I where I the younger kids that I coach. I was walking towards the school. I parked my car and I was walking towards the bus that we were taking because we had to go down to Saint Jean chez Chaudière. And I saw like two of the guys walking. They're going to their cars, and I was like, "Oh, you guys won." They're like, "Yeah," like they're like, easy dub, whatever." So they're pretty confident going to that game. They kind of felt like the fact that they did beat this team during the season, and they kind of gave them I think they won 39-14 or 39-17, so they felt pretty comfortable going to this game. So I mean, like the fact that they won, it's like they were excited. They're super happy about it because it's like kind of something they wanted to do. They always wanted to get into the FPF community and kind of get into the league. So the fact that it's the first year kind of going into it and like winning a championship, they're pretty happy about it.
Okay, nice. Well, again, listen, congrats to them. Again, unfortunately for the Stables, it's not the way they wanted to end their season, but again, they made the finals at least, something they could definitely build on. And you mentioned Zach Caron, shout out to him. Obviously, the leading receiver in the game, 6 catches, 108 yards, 3 TDs. So he definitely showed up as did a lot of his other teammates. So yeah, James, D, Palama, there, 2 INTs in the game. So again, those guys really showed up and showed out. So congrats to them on getting the championship for Division 6B.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's
Uh,
hop to co-ed one.
yeah,
It's also outside of soccer this past Monday night, 8 p.m. was the merge, the number 1 seed taking on Banner Nice Try, the number 4 seed in co-ed one. So a lot of heavyweights, a lot of really good players taking part in this game. You can see right here. So Jeff Rosenblatt, obviously, the quarterback for Banner Nice Try, 7 touchdowns. I mean, 7 touchdowns is pretty impressive, almost 300 yards. He was beaten though by Mark Andre Reeves, quarterback for Shake and Bake, a couple of the team, well, this team as well, right? The merge, 5 TD passes you see right there on 234 yards. I got a couple of TDs from Remy Legault, one of his teammates, obviously. Mary Joelle Vandell, and then the veteran Hall of Famer Serge Pilon finding the end zone as well. The opposite side for Banner Nice Try. So Sanders doing Sanders thing, 10 catches, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately for him, though, his team can get the W. See some other players, Catherine Gaumont finding the end zone. Maev Giguère, Maya DeFazio as well. But again, 3-point heartbreaking loss for Banner Nice Try.
yeah. Again, this game seems like it was. I wasn't there, but looking at the stat sheet, it looked like it was very entertaining. It looks
Yeah.
like basically both offenses were kind of just doing whatever they wanted to do. It's kind of weird that Mark only threw for 5 touchdowns. They do have a pick six from Jasmine Farmer, so she got a pick six on Jeff early in the game, I believe. So that's added in their touchdown. Plus they got a total of 7 points in convert. So again, that's in their touchdown compared to Jeff only scoring 4 points in converts. So the fact that they actually got 3 extra points in converts going that way, and they won by 3, they had to do something with it for sure. Um, and yeah, since they lost by 3, I looked at the play-by-play, and it seems like Jeff kind of scored around like the last couple seconds of the game. Then they did the
Yeah.
onside kick, incomplete. They lose the game by 3. Uh,
Yes, that's exactly it. Yep, that's it. Yeah,
yeah,
Catherine Gaumont getting the touchdown, second to last play of the game.
I do have to say, Mark Andre Reeves, when he when he runs, he has this burst,
Yeah.
which is which is fast. Like you don't like at first I didn't like but it's on a burst that continues, but it's like the first like 5 to 10, maybe I would say 5 to 15 yards, but he's going fast. Like it's to the point where when we played them in the semis, I went to deflag him and he's going straight, like no left, no right. He's going like I made a well, he was going right. He rolled out right, made like a juke on a rusher, and then started going totally north, like narrow. And I was coming from the side, and usually I'm fine with like just deflagging guys. But I
Yeah.
remember I took my hand out to deflag him. I took my left hand. Usually I'm a right-handed guy, but the angle that I had was left. I was more like the left hand was a better angle. So I took my left hand and I like kind of hit his hip while getting the flag. And I remember it just kind of like my like hand, like my towards like my palm and my thumb hits it, and
Right.
literally I sprained my hand.
Oh wow.
Like my
Okay.
yeah, my thumb was like now it's okay, whatever. My
All right.
my thumb was huge when I woke up the next morning. I was just like, what? I literally sprained my thumb and I sprained my inside finger because I kind of hit the flag and then I tried to grab my other with the other
Right.
hand.
Right. Right. Right.
I
Right.
sprained my whole thumb and I sprained my finger. Like that's how fast
Yeah.
the impact was. And it's the first time where like I do flag a lot of guys that are running at you full speed, but I don't know what it was there. I'm not sure if it was the angle, but I felt like the burst of speed was it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
I've seen him play. I played one game against him last spring season. I had never seen him before, and I remember seeing this guy. Like you're saying, it's like he gets shot out of a cannon, like that first
yeah,
like 5 to 15 yards. Man, I've never seen anybody quick. And there's a lot of fast and quick guys that have played in this league. Over the years, I think like he's at like that top of that list in that first five, like you said, the 10 to 15 yards.
yeah, he just goes there. But I yeah, it's something to see. Also, again, if you see the stat line, right, he had 3 rushing attempts of 42 yards and a touchdown. So
Yeah,
he definitely used his legs a couple times there.
that sounds about right. Okay, so credit to him though as a quarterback, right? Because you get a lot of those fast guys who every second or every obviously you can't run back to back plays, but every second or third play they're looking to scramble, right? Especially in the lower divisions. Him like he'll use the scramble, but more or less just to keep plays alive for his receivers to get
Yeah,
open. He's not
yeah.
running about
Well,
8 9 times a game.
yeah, exactly. But also, when you see when he rolls out a certain way, he goes vertical. He doesn't go
Yeah,
backwards. So he's running like vertical. So even when he's running forward, it's like you think you have enough time to come get him. Like, oh, he went so far back that when he comes, he's gonna be close to the line of scrimmage. But it's not that. He literally rolls out vertical. So he's not using yards. And when he does a speed, when he actually goes, he's getting about maybe like around 10 yards compared to some quarterbacks when they're rolling backward, kind of like a Jean Slee, where he's kind of going backwards, but he's losing yards while he's rolling out.
right,
So
right, right.
I think that's like that's something that's super good on his hands where because again he knows he's fast, right? So a lot of quarterbacks like, okay, I'm gonna run backwards and I'm gonna sprint. I know I'm running, but for him it's like more like as a vertical thing. And then when he actually knows that he's gonna run, he's getting 10 to 12 yards instead of getting like 3 to 5 because because he doesn't have to gain back yards that he already lost.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So
I want to ask you as a defender, Rick. You talked about tackling him. Obviously, it didn't work out so well for your hand. Did you make the tackle though on that play?
no, I didn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't.
Well, little salt in the wound right there.
I
But I want to
didn't. I
ask.
mean, like someone
Okay,
else came, like he didn't get that far after. He got him
okay,
like two,
okay,
three
okay,
yards. I think I believe Emma or Gigi, someone came after they made the tackle.
okay.
But
All right, fair enough. You slowed him down. You slowed him down for someone else to come in and clean it up.
I did, but slow. I wish I slowed. He didn't stop. He just ran. He just kept going. I remember, and after I was like, "What?" I was like, "What the hell?" And then someone got, but no, I didn't slow him down. I I didn't get him as like I was coming from the side, you know. So like I was like, oh,
Right.
and I landed. And I was like, what the hell? And I was looking at my film, like, oh yeah, I definitely sprained. But I had the adrenaline. And I was like, okay, I could keep going. But the next morning, I woke up and it was huge. I was like, in my head, I think I broke it. I think I broke something in my finger, in my thumb. But
Wow.
luckily, it's better now. I was gonna get an X-ray and get things done, and then the next like 2 3 days later, it's a bit better. It still hurts
Okay.
now, but I might actually still have to get an X-ray. But I know nothing's like broken. Something might
Right.
be torn,
Right.
but we'll look in that in the future.
Okay. I'm gonna say two things. First off, you're keeping it real too much. I would have said, yeah, you're damn right. I slowed him down. I didn't make that tackle, but I slowed him down for sure.
No, no,
Fair enough.
I'll give
Fair
him
enough.
his props. Like I
I heard
played
you.
him
I heard you.
before, right? But
Yeah.
I never got an encounter where I had to deflag him like that. So no, he's a super good quarterback.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, super good guy too. Before the game even started, he landed on me on defense, and he's like, "Well, match." And I was like, "Okay,
Okay. Nice. All
okay,
right.
okay."
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Hey.
It's kind of like me. I'm not saying
No.
that. I'm just kind of as soon as the whistle goes, like I'm not looking at you. I'm in the game. You know, I'm not saying anything to you. The fact that he said good game. You know, like good luck. But
We're not
yeah,
friends. We're not
yeah.
friends.
Yeah, exactly. Well, after the game, I was like,
Yeah.
good
Hundred
match.
percent.
But
I hear
before
you.
that, as soon as we're lined up together, I'm looking right into your soul. You know, like
There you go. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. You're not looking to swap t-shirts, swap jerseys, and
no,
kumbaya and all that. All right. So shout out to the merge. They were the number one seed, getting the championship again, knocking off Batter Nice Try, 49-46. Shout out to Lori. So Lori Willette, obviously on the merge, a huge part of their team. She's the one who she put everything up on her Instagram story, which is how you and I kind of both found out.
yeah,
Both of them winning the championship. So shout out to Lori, great people. Trying to get her on the podcast, and unfortunately, it was a last second ask on my part, which is totally on me. Uh, So, anyways, congrats to the merge. They got the championship. So I believe that's actually number 5 for her. So congrats to her, Mark
Yeah,
Andre, and the rest of the crew.
I'm sure we probably get her for next
Yeah,
season.
hundred
I'm sure
percent,
it's
100%. We actually, so you know what? I'll be honest with you. Been trying to get people the last couple of days. Just the timing just didn't work out. It's no one's fault really.
Mhm.
A couple people are lined up for the spring season to come on the podcast, and we promise you guys at home we will have a lot of guests coming up this season, 100%. Okay, so we did co-ed 1, we have champs, the merge, co-ed B, impact of the champs, pardon me, division B, 6B, sorry, impact of the champs. So let's hop to 6A now. So that championship game will be taking place this weekend. Just looking to get the schedule out here. Yeah, so that'll be 90s Classics against Gold Rush. That'll be, thank you for having it on your screen. That'll be this Sunday, 1:15 in the afternoon at Brassard at Complex CN, as you can see on your screen there. So yeah, so looking at this matchup again, 90s Classics, like we talked about last week, a veteran team, Jamie OJ, a lot of other cats on the team
Mhm.
that played a while. Whereas Gold Rush, yeah, it's predominantly a rookie or first or second year team. When I was looking over again, just doing some extra prep, I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, I see the squad here, and again, it's really young. They did not play each other in the regular season though, which is key because we talked about that. Some teams have in the finals matches, as we'll get to, but some teams like these guys, 90s Classics and Gold Rush, have not played each other in the
Yeah.
regular season. How do you see this game shaking out?
Um, just because Gold Rush, well, they're higher seed too, right? So Gold Rush, I believe.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
just no, Gold
they're,
Rush is the 10th. Gold Rush is the 10th, and 90s
sorry,
Classics is
90s
the second.
Classic. 90
Yeah,
Classic is the number two
second seed.
seed.
Yeah,
Gold Rush is the 10th seed, right? So
yeah.
Gold Rush kind of had to make some couple upsets here and there to kind of get where they are right now. So kudos to them. But I just think 90 Classic is going to be a bit too much. I don't want to say power, but I just think the veteran and the players that 90 Classics have, I think they're just gonna it's gonna overwhelm them. It's gonna be the point where Jamie's been to a lot of finals appearance. He's been
Yeah.
in the situation where he kind of understands how everything works for them coming in. I believe it's their first year, or none of their guys have made any sort of impact going into finals. I'm pretty sure for Gold Rush. So for them, it's going to be kind of like a finals is so much different than a playoff game. You kind of show up to the complex. You have the cameras around you. You have a bunch of people in the crowd. Everyone's kind of all eyes are on you, right? So it comes
Mhm.
to a point where if you kind of make that one mistake, it takes you out the game. I feel like it's going to be the point in this game is who's going to have more mistakes. I think Gold Rush is going to have more mistakes than 90 Classics, and it's
Yeah.
going to be the point where it's going to be too many mistakes for them to kind of shake it off and get to the next play. It's gonna and then 90 Classics are going to kind of take advantage on that, and they're just going to keep going, keep doing what they're doing. And by the time that we by the time the game is done, I think 90 Classics is going to win this by at least double digits.
I'm with you on that. On 90s Classics getting the win. I mean, you look at it right. 90s Classics again, the number 2 seed. They have the second best defense in the league. At least in the regular season, they gave up 134 points. The only team better than them was the LVL Jack Boys. And you switch over to offense, right? They scored 288 points, right? The 90s Classics. Gold Rush didn't even score 200. They topped it at 196, right? So I mean, you have one team with clearly better offense and one team with clearly, I wouldn't say clearly better defense actually, because the Gold Rush defense, they gave up 172 points this season, so they're top 5 defense
Yeah,
in Division 6A.
their
Yeah,
defense is what got them where they are right now. As again,
exactly.
if you check the playoffs, right? They played Creamsicles division playoffs. They won 24-12. So again, defense allowed 12 points, and then you get them at Chamonix Chodes. They only let them score 7. So
Yeah,
huge defense there. And then you played McGill swim team. They played and they only scored 13. So not no team scored more than 3 touchdowns against these guys and their playoff run. So their defense is definitely that's what's
yeah,
keeping them together. You know. So as we again, we said it multiple times. Defense wins championships, right? So
correct.
they do have the decent. I feel like their defense. They do have the defense aspect there, where their defense is they're gonna help them out. They are gonna. I'm sure they're gonna get some stops here or there, But I think the issue is going to be the offense, right? I don't think the offense is going to be able to score enough points to help the defense enough. Um, it's kind of like saying like when your defense is so good, but your offense is playing so bad, it's there's like a breaking point to it.
Right.
It becomes a breaking point. It's like how much more do we have to do for you guys to get that spark and score? You know,
Right. Right.
I've been around a lot of teams, not flag, but like just teams in general. Well, like flag, but also tackle as well, where the
Mm-hmm.
defense is playing so well, and it's like there's only so much your defense can do until they they have a broken play that ends up being a touchdown, and that's what
Right.
costs them the game. But it's like, okay, well, our defense got us 4 stops, our offense couldn't score. You know, like
No, I hear you. I hear you
it's
100%.
gonna be like something like that going into this game.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be interesting, right? Like, I mean, how much, like you talked about, how much can their offense kind of hold things together until their offense shows up. I think one of the biggest things in this game, again, with that 90s Classics defense, right? Again, a battle between two defensive teams. 90s Classics, what separates their defense is just the ball hawks, right? Troy Lenvey, obviously Jamie Ojea, and Brian Ofori, right? The three of those guys combined have, I'm looking at it right here, they have 11 picks, right? And they also have 5 returns to the house for touchdowns. So what does that tell you? Those guys are jumping routes. Those guys are playing the ball in the air, and they're picking it off, right? So again, you add in two good defenses, but one defense that turns those ints into touchdowns is extra offense, obviously, for the 90s Classics. I think that's what separates the two teams, is the fact that the 90s Classics are better scoring on both sides of the ball than their opponents. I want to go with 90s Classics in this game.
Yeah. If you had to give an MVP, right? So yeah, how if ever I,
Mhm.
for the folks that don't know, so after every game, one player is rewarded MVP. So
Yeah.
basically, the player that pretty much most valuable player on the team
Yep.
for that game. Who would you give it to for Nights Classics?
I'm going to be a little biased. I'm going to say Troy Lenvey. Like I talked about it a couple episodes ago. Like, he's a former teammate of mine. I won a championship with him, and he's that good on both sides of the ball. He has length, he has size, he has speed. Right, and as you can see, look at his numbers. Right, he leads the team. Well, he's tied actually for the lead in interceptions with Jamie and with, well, Stefan and Antoine, who's not able to play for the playoffs, not qualified, I should say, for the playoffs. But then you look at the receiving side, right? Troy leads the team in receiving yards, and tied for the lead in receiving touchdowns as well, right? So yeah, I'm gonna pick Troy Lenvey as my MVP of the game.
Okay,
What about you?
it's weird because usually I do have to say usually a receiver does not win MVP. Usually it would be a quarterback, but
I hear you. It's
we'll
just because of the two-way effect. That's why I'm thinking that perhaps.
okay, yeah. So again, I was looking at Gold Rush, and I would give it to Jacobs Snackner.
Okay.
So he's definitely a player right now. He finished the season with 8 ints. He also had a couple interceptions in their playoff run, and also he's one of the lead receivers
Yeah, for
with
that team. Yeah.
yeah, 8 touchdowns, 220 yards as well, and he had a huge impact into their semifinals, quarterfinals games as well. So if I had to pick someone, I would choose him on Gold Rush.
No, listen, that's a good guess right there. I mean, yeah, Jacob Saxner, Louis Epstein as well, guys like Sam Perez, Michael Schiller. I think Saxner, I'm agreeing with you, probably is the best player out of that bunch on the Go Rush team. Yeah, if Go Rush is going to pull off the upset, I think
Yeah.
Saxner will walk away with MVP as well. Okay.
Hopefully,
Sorry.
hopefully it's a good game though. Hopefully that's one thing that we always want to see is
Yeah.
both teams kind of competing. It comes up to the last couple plays where you have a decider winner because we don't like blowouts, right? I don't think anyone likes blowouts. I don't think anyone
Nope.
likes watching blowouts unless
Nope.
like if it's your fan based team and it's like for the Super Bowl and you're kind of like, oh, because it's like a feeling if we're up by
Yeah,
20, 30 points, like you feel pretty good going into it. So you're like,
for
but
sure.
like when it comes to like stuff like this, I think a lot of viewers and people that are spectating, they kind of want it to have. Everyone wants to see a good game.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Sometimes,
That's it.
yeah, sometimes those players too. I've been in games where I've gotten blown out, and I've been in games where I've blown out teams. Yeah, at the end of
Right.
the day, the reward is pretty cool, and you end up winning. You're like, okay, we're the champions, but then you don't. It's like
Yeah.
not as fun. Like winning that game where you have a couple plays left, like there's like 3 or 4 plays left in going into it, and it's like, okay, guys, we have the game winning drive, we end up scoring, and then you're like, oh, it's an amazing feeling. Like a season and a half ago when I played one of the Sharks, I believe the year that we played against you guys and we ended up beating you in the
Yeah,
quarterfinals.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in the semis, we played backfield penetration, I believe, and that game was going back and forth, and we ended up scoring. And then they scored. They got an onside kick, and they scored it, and they went up by 3, I believe. And then I remember I was just like, the game was super good going back and forth. But after we scored, I was like, okay, guys, we're up by 10. There's nothing to really worry about. They
Right,
scored
right,
a
right.
touchdown to AJ. Oh, no, I think AJ ran it in. And then Nicholas Copini did like a go, and AJ kind of just launched it. And I kind of lost my footing. Nick scored the touchdown. He kind of looked at me, and I was like, all right, all right, all right. I didn't know what to say. I was like, that's on me. And then we get the ball. Corey throws the ball to Noah Groper.
Yep.
First play gets like 10, 15 yards, and then does a little slant to someone else, and then hits in there Justin Fink, it's other guy on our team. And then we get the ball, we're like midfield, and then Corey runs a play where it's like it's 10, the slot wideout receivers are 10-yard comebacks, and then the slots are do corners, and the snapper does like a 5-yard out. Okay. And like I looked at Corey, he looked at me, and I was like, I hope he kind of like trusts me, and he throws it. And he threw me the corner, and he kind of just lightly like put it up there. And I remember I saw him there, and I caught it, tiptoed in the end zone, like back of the end zone. And I was like, oh, this feeling's insane. But just like winning a game, and we end up scoring, and then they had one play left. They end up, I think AJ hit the top of the ceiling or something like that. But we ended up winning that game. And I was like, oh, the feeling is so much better than winning a game like that than winning a blowout game, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If you have to work harder for it, it's more rewarding for sure.
Yeah. So that's like one. Then we went to the finals, ended up winning the finals, but that was like one game where I was just like, like it was a good fight. It was a good championship to win that year.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Let's top 5B. So we got the number 2 seeds, the Maccabees, taking on the number 7 seed in the Dirty Dogs. Both teams went head to head in week 9. The Maccabees emerging with a 22-19 win, again back in week 9. Maccabees were up 14-7 at the half of that one, and the Dirty Dogs outscored the Maccabees 12-8 in the second half. Turnovers playing a huge role in that regular season matchup. Jacob Souls, the quarterback for the Dogs that day, had 3 INTs. Shimmy Collins had 4 for the Maccabees, but again, Maccabees getting that 22-19 victory. So this game here, right? You have the Dogs, the Dirty Dogs, pardon me, who are tied for the top defense. They gave up 165 points. Maccabees, a really good defense as well, right? They're in the top 3, I believe, top 5 in Division 5B. So it's going to be two really strong defensive teams going head to head. Looking at their offense, Maccabees are the 4th ranked offense in Division 5B, and the Dirty Dogs are the 8th ranked offense in Division 5B. So definitely two teams that know how to score some points, but two teams who also know how to keep opponents out of the end zone. How do you see this one shaking out?
So this is actually probably going to be the most interesting game that we're going to see in the finals, because it's two teams that they're familiar new. There are not a lot of players that we kind of know, names that we kind of know of. So again, usually sometimes depends. Usually how I go it, right? I go by experience. Who has more experience going into the finals and kind of seeing like how to do what, and understanding that allowing a deep ball, it's not the end of the world, or throwing a pick six, not the end of the world. You can come back from that. So the fact that both of these teams, they don't have that type of veteran presence and that kind of experience as well. It's kind of interesting how you have like, it's two teams where it's like they both have their own type of skill, but again, like you don't have that aspect saying, okay, well, this team is more experienced into championship games, so they have the bigger edge, because it's not like that at all. It's completely the opposite. So I think this is one of the games where we don't get it's not an easier pick to pick one to side either or because of that. And that's how I kind of base a lot of my championship predictions are kind of championships, like what's it called? experience on teams are going to win, on the team that's going to win.
Right. Right. Okay. No, that makes sense.
So, but again, right? Maccabees is the better team going into this, right? I wait, I have it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, they are. They're the two
Yeah,
seed.
yeah. Their Maccabees is a 2 seed, right? So they finished 9-1. So I would base it off more that way because just how Maccabees all year, right? They're 9-1 all year. They kind of did what they had to do. Going into the semifinals, they ended up winning 34-31. So they kind of had that hard game going into the semifinals. And
Right.
then they end up beating in the quarterfinals, they end up winning 13-0 as well. So they end up winning two big games getting there instead of having that upset like that. So I think with the experience that they do have, I think they're able to get the spotlight. I think they're able to overcome the spotlight that's going to be coming into them on the Sunday for the championship game. So I would have to give Maccabees the bigger edge there, even though Dirty Dogs is a very good team as well. And again, I said it's gonna be super interesting.
All right. I mean, I hear you. Again, Maccabees again, higher seed. They beat Dirty Dogs already in the regular season. If I mean, obviously you have it up on the screen right there. I mean, you look at the playoff, right? Going back to the quarterfinals. Dirty Dogs 25-13 over Dragon Magic. Maccabees 13-0 over No Pun Intended, right? No pun intended. Pretty decent team. And then you look at the second round, right? Maccabees still a close game, right? The first one was 13 points, two touchdowns, conversion. Second game, right? They beat the Super Turbo Navets, another veteran team, 34-31. Dirty Dogs laid a beat down on Les Mangeaux de Binge, 39-15. So it's like not taking anything away from the Dirty Dogs, right? Dirty Dogs again, they scored more points in both their games than the Maccabees. But I look at it here, it's like the Maccabees are a little bit better at winning those closer games, which I think matters, as we saw in the regular season, right? When they beat the Dirty Dogs. I think this is going to go down to the last possession. Whoever has the ball last, I think, is going to have a great chance to win the game, and I think we'll win the game. Actually, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the Maccabees here, just because I think their defense is I don't want to know. I don't know if I want to say better than the Dirty Dogs, because again, the Dirty Dogs led it 13 in one game and 15 in the other.
Yeah, no,
You know,
they're playing good. I also think it's
yeah,
gonna be based on how composed the brothers are gonna be, right? Because the Soul brothers. So you have Noah Souls, Jacob
yeah,
Souls,
Carter
and
Souls, all them,
Carter
yeah,
Souls.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
also going to be how they react to a lot of things as well, right? Because we
for
had
sure, for
Carter.
sure, for
I think
sure.
Carter's the one that got
Carter got suspended.
that. So
Yeah,
they like to talk, right? So I know Carter. I've seen him. I've seen a couple times. He likes to run his mouth, right? So
yep.
I think it also depends how good composed they are, right? Because sometimes it takes one guy to kind of get off. Um, it takes one guy to kind of lose focus, and he kind of brings everybody else with him at the same time while
Right,
doing that, right? So
right.
someone messes a catch, so when something happens, unsportsmanship uh, play, or just
Yeah, no
showboating,
seeing
right?
that. Yeah,
He scores a big touchdown, he starts dancing, or he goes like head the same moss to someone, he goes head top like that, he's in his face. That's a
right.
flag, right? You're at the end of the day, you're not helping your team when you get flags or stuff like that. Even though you make a huge play for your team, you end up affecting your team at the same time. So I feel like it's really gonna be based on that as well, how composed they all are.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that 100%. I mean, composure is huge, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a regular season game or the finals, but I mean, especially in the finals, right? You got to keep your head on a swivel. I mean, you got to keep your head on straight, and you know, it's not even so much of someone just acting a fool or initiating anything. It's even sometimes, listen, people watch the podcast, people go to the games, they read the articles. If I'm a player and I know that I can get under your skin by saying something to you, you know what I mean, or looking at you funny or whatever the case may be, right? If I gotta catch for a first down, like first down, like I don't necessarily do it in your face, but I do it where you can see and hear me, right? And if I know that gets under your skin, I'm gonna keep on doing it and doing it until you take a foolish penalty and you get an OC and you get kicked out for 10 plays or kicked out for the game, right? If you get a second one, so it's not even people doing foolish things. It's just keeping your composure when other people are trying to egg you on, right? And I think that's huge, especially for a lot of those young guys that you talk about, the Souls brothers, right? They've they've earned a reputation, unfortunately, in this league of being some guys, great players. All three are great players, but some of them earning a reputation where they don't take the smartest penalties sometimes. So these guys, great players, you got to be smart. Don't harm your team. Just go out, focus on the game at hand, focus on what's happening on the field. Don't worry about the missed calls. Don't worry about the what the opponent is saying to you. Just go out and play some ball and try to win a championship.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah,
Well
I'm
said.
looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
this game.
as
It
I
should
yeah,
be
as I was saying before, this is probably going to be the most. I think this is probably going to be the one of the closest games that
yeah.
we should see on the Sunday.
Yeah, you got Noah Souls, right, the defensive player of the year in 5B. So again, yeah, it should be a good game. Again, two great defenses going at it. So you're picking the Dirty Dogs, or you're picking the Maccabees in this
I'm
one?
gonna I'm gonna take the higher. I'm gonna take the better seed. I'm gonna take the Maccabees.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go to Dirty Dogs, and Dirty Dogs pull off the upset and get revenge on the Maccabees. All right. So let's hop over to 5A. We have the four seed in the Reborn Prospects, led by Samuel Mambo, fantastic player, 33 touchdown passes, 12 INTs. Uh, Again, this is division. Yeah, it's five A. No, it's five. Yeah, five
Five.
A.
This
Yeah,
is 5A.
yes,
Yes.
five A. Yeah. So Samuel Mumbo, defensive player of the year, again, 12 INTs, taking on the number five seed in the Baby Backs, Baby Sharks, Baby Backs. Thinking of ribs, sorry, the Baby Sharks.
Someone's hungry.
Yeah, I haven't had supper yet. I'm kind of hungry. So yeah, so both teams, both teams did not play each other in the regular season. So again, this is the first and only matchup of the regular season. My question to you is against Samuel Mambo, 33 passes as the quarterback, and again the 12 INTs like I talked about, defensive player of the year. How do the Baby Sharks, not the baby back ribs, how do the Baby Sharks slow down a Mambo on both sides of the ball?
So, one thing they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to make sure he doesn't run. They're gonna have to try to make sure whoever is rushing him is gonna have to stay composed, and they're gonna have to make sure that if he is gonna run, it's to a point where he's kind of running backwards, running backwards, running backwards, doesn't have anything to do, takes off, and he gets maybe 1 or 2 yards, like a type of run like that where it doesn't seem as effective. It doesn't seem as effective at all, and it's the point where your defense can live by it. And compared to if he ends up making a stutter step juke and then he runs for 10 yards, that's where it starts communicating, and it's to a point where you guys feel like you can't make it. Your defense feels like you can't make a stop, and it starts affecting everyone around your team. So that's number one. And so that's number one. And then number two, they're gonna have to not get beat over top. They're gonna have to make sure whatever calls that they make, everything is over top. If you're deep, you have to play deep. You don't want to, especially quarterback, because he's not a natural quarterback, right? He's athletic and he's talented for what he does, but he's not a
Yeah,
natural quarterback. So when you play versus quarterbacks that are not natural quarterbacks and they're more the mobility type of quarterbacks, you don't want to give them anything easy. You want to make sure you're not giving them 40 bombs. You're not giving them guys to catch the ball like whatever 30-yard bombs. You're not giving it anything easy. You're making him drive down the field and actually making him make reads instead of just, again, as I said, I think I said 3 times, instead of just throwing the ball up in the air, one of his players making a catch,
right.
and then he gets to come off and gets to play defense, and then he tries to make his presence known for that. So I think Baby Sharks are going to have to make sure that they have to make sure that their rush is able to contain him in the pocket,
Mhm.
and his defense is able and their defense is able to um, have him have full drives where he's not able to complete 1 or 2 passes for touchdowns, and instead of having to throw the ball 2 3 times, he has to throw at least 9 or 10 attempts before scoring a touchdown. I think if they're able to do that, make the game shorter in the sense of having reborn prospects having longer drives, I think that's going to help them more because I don't think they're going to want to go into a shootout with a team like this.
Right. Okay. My next question is, so looking again, obviously, we're the top two receivers for newborn prospects, JJ Fortuna and Nathaniel Dinku combined for 22 touchdowns. So that's obviously another piece of the puzzle that the Baby Sharks are gonna have to slow down at least. switching sides though for the reborn prospects defense, right? The number one defense in Division 5A. Maxime Sharkawi, hope I'm pronouncing that right. Receiver 21 touchdowns for the Baby Sharks. He made All Star this year, rightfully so. Again with 21 TDs, that's pretty impressive. What do you think the Baby Sharks? Pardon me. What do you think the reborn prospects need to do to slow him down?
Box him up, box him out. So again, kind of the same point when you're running your deep coverage, right? So it's 6v6. When you're running your deep coverage, so let's say you run a basic 1-3-5, right? To a point where you have three guys going deep, three guys coming. Well, you have sorry, it's yes, plus rusher, right? So you have
Yeah.
three guys playing the deep coverage just to make sure he doesn't just to make sure he doesn't score deep passes.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep everything in front of them, and they keep everything in front of them, and they just make sure he's not scoring at will when he wants to score. Because the fact that he scored 21 TDs for 493 yards, and the second guy to him is Louis Philippe at 8 touchdowns, 239 yards, it goes to show he's doubled, almost tripled that guy's touchdowns. So
Yeah.
they have to
Yeah.
make they like to the point where if you're able to not let this guy first of all score any touchdowns, it's going to affect the offense, or just not catch the ball as much, it's also going to affect the offense. Like when I see stats like this, I try to make sure that there's always eyes looking at him, right? So you run a certain coverage where you're three deep. The guy that's playing short is kind of like looking to see if he's going deep. If he does go deep, you get into your coverage, but he doesn't go deep, you kind of look more towards him just to bubble him up a bit. So when he does make a catch, it's kind of like you're right in his face. Or if he's even the quarterback kind of tries to make an attempt, maybe you can make a break off of it, kind of bat the ball away, and it kind of like it gets it to a point where the quarterback is like, okay, well, I don't really have this guy as much. Let me go somewhere else. But the whole year he hasn't been really doing that, right? So if you could get that combination of the quarterback and of both the quarterback from the Sharks and Maxim as a dual threat, if you kind of can eliminate that, your key to success is pretty much you have a higher key to success for winning the game.
Okay. Yep. The quarterback for the Sharks there, Jeremy Laplante. Again, so this offense, I mean, we talked about Chicago with 21 TDs. The Baby Sharks offense was the fifth ranked in Division 5A this season. So obviously they know how to put points on the board. Um, how do you see this one shaking out again? Top offense against the top defense. Who do you think is going to get the W in the championship?
So I'm gonna give it to Baby Sharks here.
Okay.
Just the reason why I'm saying this, I think Baby Sharks have more firepower than Reborn prospects.
Okay.
Um, I think Baby Sharks they're a young team, and I just think that's gonna help them get this W compared to Reborn prospects. My biggest issue is a lot of times with quarterbacks that are not natural quarterbacks, they make bigger mistakes when they're playing better teams. So this team has never played versus each other. I don't know. I know Simo Momba.
Yeah.
He's a, like I've played with him for 5v5. I seen him throw for co-ed, I think, for as a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
yeah, I've seen him throw for that, but I just think Baby Sharks are gonna. I think they're gonna be able to. I think they're gonna be able to do a bit too much movement on the defense side, where it's gonna put him into a lot of tight situations where he's gonna make a lot of more. He's gonna make bigger mistakes that he's used to. Even showing it kind of going to playoffs where reborn prospects they played Pigeons, right? They beat them 18-12. They only scored that. Baby Sharks scored 47 versus Thunder Buddies, and then they had a very tight one for 32 versus 31 versus I'd say like they score points. I just think they're going to be too much. I feel like they're just going to overwhelm. They're going to overwhelm reborn prospects too much.
Okay. No, so you bring up all valid points 100%, especially about the guys who rely more on athleticism as quarterbacks and being natural pure passers, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
I see that being a problem. I'm just going to say I'm going to go over reborn prospects. And the reason why I say that is so I've seen Samuel Mumbo play a lot, not just this season, but in seasons past. Again, phenomenal athlete, great player on both sides of the ball. For me, it's the lack of a solid rusher for the Baby Sharks. If you look at it right now, right, I mean, leading them in rushing, in pardon me, sacks is Alex Shakawi. So I guess the brother of Maxime. He has 3 sacks. Right, that's not going to cut it. You need someone to beat a mumble. And I've seen him play a lot. You need someone who can get him off of his rhythm and
Mhm.
get him to make those mistakes. Throw the ball before he wants to, throw the ball off of his back foot, throw the ball across his body, and don't forget, a mumble is really tall. He's tall and he's long, right? So he could throw over the top of your average size rusher, right? So I think because the baby sharks are lacking that legit like elite rusher or even someone who's a really good rusher, I think that's going to be the difference right there. And I think Samuel Mumble is going to pull out a victory. You're right about the offense; they haven't put up that many points in the postseason, but I think it'll be another tight game. And if they manage to find a way to pull it out, I'm going with the reborn prospects in this one.
All right.
Okay.
Again, this is probably gonna be one of these. This is also gonna be a really good game.
100%, 100%.
First game as well too, right? First game on the slot at
Yeah,
12.
Sunday. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, kicking off the
So,
action at 12 noon. That'd be good.
yeah.
That'd be a good way to kick things off, like you said. Okay, so let's hop over to Division 4B.
Mhm.
We have the 7th seed in Cast at 12. So Case at 12 taking on the number 4 seed in the Hooligans.
Hooligans, yeah.
Yep, both teams did not meet each other during the regular season. This matchup for me is interesting, crazy. I'll tell you, it's two top four offenses really. Case of 12 has the number 3 ranked offense. The Hooligans have the number 4 ranked offense. Defense is a little bit of a difference. Cast of 12 has the 10th ranked defense. It's not horrible against the 6th ranked defense of the Hooligans. Cast of 12 though, the big difference I think in this one is experience. Like you talked about, it's huge, right? Cast of 12 has like 5 rookies on the team. No one on their playoff roster had started playing FPF before the 2022 season. So it's basically 3 seasons of experience for the majority of the roster who aren't rookies, right? And again, 5 rookies in that lineup. Where'd you go to the Hooligans, right? They got Simon Pervenche, Felix Boutet, right? Philip Peltier. A lot of guys used to play for the Champlain Cavaliers who don't have a ton of flag experience, but they have tackle, right? Which always helps. And again, you have all sorts like Felix Boutet on one side for the Hooligans, where Cast of 12 doesn't have him. I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge difference when you have Felix Boutet on your team, especially when he's able to open up, go over the top, and score those 40-yard bombs like that. That makes a big
Yeah.
effect on a defensive team, especially for Cast of 12. Especially if he could hit, if they could hit maybe two of those, it hurts. You know, the fact that you kind
Right.
of your defense. Let's say your defense goes on first play, couple play or whatever. The second, third play, bomb to Felix touchdown. And then the fact that your offense goes on, let's say you score, then all of a sudden, bang again, Felix scores again, or he takes a hook for a touchdown. He's a fast guy. He's hard to deflag. So
Yeah.
he's a player that he's a game changer player, and he does a huge effect on both on well on the offense side of the ball, where he could change the whole game, and in the on the side for the hooligan. So yeah, he's definitely gonna be a problem for Cast at 12, where they're gonna, again, as I said, I think I kind of the same method. They're gonna have to make sure that they don't let him beat them over top, and it's everything underneath.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, and look at even looking again at the roster for the Hooligans, they also have Mike Fafard, right? Mike Fafard, he is the reigning two-way player of the year as well, right? So it doesn't hurt to have him in your lineup.
No,
Um,
for sure,
yeah,
no. Um,
yeah. So I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a good game again. Cast of 12 again, the 7th seed, the Hooligans the 4th. I don't know about you, but I think the Hooligans are just going to be a bit too much for the Cast of 12 to handle.
yeah, I also think it's gonna be an issue for that. Then you said for experience wise, if you look, like as we said, you're kind of saying that they don't have that championship experience, or even going into a championship game as well either, right? So that's kind of something where the only reason I do say, because I understand, I get the, well, I'm kind of making this statement for myself, but I'm the type of player where my first championship game, I did have a lot of nerves. Even my like second one, my third one, it's a lot of nerves, right? And if
Yeah, for
one
sure,
thing
for
kind of
sure.
goes bad, it becomes a domino effect where none of these guys kind of have that championship experience.
Right.
So it comes to a
Right.
point where a domino effect where if someone screws up, it kind of like you kind of point fingers, or he screwed up, and then he screws up, and then it kind of just screws up the whole rotation. So, and again, especially for a player like, well, I'll kind of mention again, a player like Felix, where it just takes like two, three guys to start pointing fingers at each other, and it kind of just
Hmm.
screws up the whole chemistry and kind of the whole vibe that the team kind of has because
Yeah.
of the argument or something like that. And it happens a lot where you see a lot of guys kind of point fingers and they kind of start yelling at each other. And as soon as that starts happening, it's over. Like there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has a snowball effect, right? Like you're saying, like something starts to go wrong, and then something else starts to go wrong. Like I said, guys pointing at each other, guys start to argue with each other on the field, and then it ends up jumping from being let's play this team defense. And you know what? I'm just gonna play one on one. I'm gonna try
Yeah,
and man this
exactly.
guy up.
Yeah,
Yeah, not,
it
not
comes to the
listen
point
to the
like
call.
I'm gonna do
Yeah,
my stuff. You're not really communicating
exactly,
with everybody else. Yeah, so that's
exactly.
something where I'm sure me and you both experienced it more than one time where we played with teams that situations like that did happen, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
most of the time when it does happen, like from experience wise, I'm pretty sure I haven't won a game when that does happen.
Yeah, it almost never happens. I lost a championship actually when that happened once. It was my first ever championship. Like you talk about nerves, I was super nervous in that game. And we had a guy who was just great at one on one. He could play team defense, but he was great at locking guys down, and he did
Hmm.
it. But then he kind of missed a call here and missed a call there in a team defensive call where he's not
Yeah.
in the right spot in the zone, and he ends up letting a touchdown go by him, which that was his guy. But well, I was busy covering this guy one on one, but the call wasn't for that, anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all it takes, you know. You also
yeah.
that's one thing that's crazy with flag, right? So you have these guys that come in and they're great defenders, right? And
Mhm.
then flag is completely different than tackle. That's one thing
Yeah,
I'm
for sure,
saying.
for sure, for
It's
sure.
completely different. Even when you're in a situation where it's like a man-to-man concept, where if you're a very good flag player, and let's just say the call is man-to-man, right?
Yep.
And the guy next to you understands, like let's say that so you're playing corner, you're a shutdown corner, island corner, we
Hmm.
usually call them. You have your own island,
Yep.
and you have really good experience with the halfback, the guy next to you. And if it comes to a point where let's just say the guy next to you kind of runs a quick out, and you know as the halfback you kind of can't get there, you can do kind of a point where the halfback just takes a like a 2-3 backpedal drop, you call switch, the corner comes down, takes away the quick out or the quick
Yeah.
out,
Yep.
whatever, and then you take the over top. Like I've
Yeah.
played with guys that kind of make calls like that. It's insane because you're kind of like, oh, that's a veteran call. But when you play guys for tackle, like there is a switch call for that, but the difference between tackle and flags at the field is so much smaller, right? So
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
comes to a point where you kind of think like, oh, you don't have a time to make a switch like that. But for flag, it's something where no, we could make a switch and I could just play over top. It's not a huge deal. Where it comes when it comes tackle, it's like the field's so long. Like if you decide to make that switch, it has to make sense because you're basically telling the guy like you have to do my job, but you have to understand what the job is and you have to get there, right? So
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that's a lot of issues too. When I play with people that kind of have that one player where it's like, yo, fuck that, I can shut down this whole side, you know, and you're like, okay, bro, but listen, the call is not you playing. It's not the call is not you
Yeah.
calling you shutting down that side. You kind of have to see what's coming across
Exactly.
from you and what's coming
Exactly.
from that side and that side, you know. And the guy's like, it's always like, oh no, I did my job. He's like, no one scored on me, no one scored on me, but it's like, okay, yeah, no one scored on you, but we still lost the
That,
game.
there you
We
go.
still
That's
lost the
it.
game, you know.
That's it.
So
I'm glad you brought it up. I want to ask you. So like playing man, right? I played defense for the first time last in the fall season. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It wasn't great, I'll tell you that. But I wanted to learn. I had played when I played tackle. I played actually mostly defense. So I wanted to. When I joined flag like a zillion years ago, I played receiver. I didn't play much defense at all, and that's kind of how I kept it. And I've always wanted to play defense and flag, and I used the fall season as a learning experience. I find with man, obviously it's a lot of zone, right? This is the one three
yeah.
five, the 2-4. It used to be the 4-1 that people used to run the 4-1 lock. I find playing man to man is only beneficial when you know the guy's gonna do a go route, right? You can play man on that. Sometimes on crossing routes. I mean, I find crossing routes those are man beaters.
Yeah.
You because I think the biggest difficulty of playing man and in flag is you can't jam anybody at the line of scrimmage, which takes away a lot of your advantage in man-to-man defense. That's just my opinion. Am I wrong on that, or
Technically, you can't
technically
jam.
you can't jam? Yeah, technically you can't.
Technically, you can't
Technically you
jam.
can't.
But
Technically,
no, you're 100% right. To be honest with you, I think the best time to call man is when the offensive team doesn't know you're calling man.
okay,
It's like that's the best time to call it because most of the times there's a lot of beaters where
right,
it's not even the point where it's a man beater, but they're running a post corner or a post. You know, it's hard to follow a post across the field, especially
yeah,
versus some quarterbacks, right? Let's
mhm,
say you're Kevin. It's the point like, okay, you're running a post across the field, you get into the second cone. If you're the defender there and your guy does a breaking, does a like he's running at you, and he's breaking out, and it becomes who's faster at that point, who's getting to the second cone at
right,
each
right,
other,
right,
right?
right.
As a defender, maybe you don't know he's actually going full post, so you're kind of like you're kind of trailing him. You're waiting to see if he's going to do a corner, he's going to do it in, but at that point the ball is thrown, and then it's literally a race to the ball. But like he already has a step in front of you, so I think the best time to call man is when the opposite team doesn't think you're going to call man. That's what I call man. To be honest, I'm not a guy that I call a lot of defenses. I don't call man a lot of the times, especially because I feel like you don't get rewarded enough times when you call it.
Right.
Um, I rather run a type of zone where you're kind of just shooting zones, and then you kind of get a stop. You get a stop that way. So instead of running like let's just say a 1-2-3, where you have the corner, the half, the middle guy literally going over top, and then you have the four shooting down, shooting across, the five shooting across, the six going across. So the quarterback kind of sees the corner and the half bail, like, okay, I have this guy coming across. He's about to throw it. Then he sees all of a sudden he sees the four coming across, and he's like, okay, well, I have an error cross coming. That guy should be wide open. He doesn't even think about it. He throws it, and the five just comes out of nowhere and picks it off for a six. You know, so I'm a type of player that I like to shoot zones instead of calling man. But if I do call man, the best situation is when the team doesn't know you're calling man because it's an advantage at that point because he's not expecting man. So let's just say all his hooks are screwed off the bat. So if you're calling man, they're calling all hooks. He's screwed in that situation. But if he's calling a point where it's like a go, a 5 yard out, and then backside is hooks, like all that is easy to cover. You know, so
Right.
it's really it really I feel like it really depends what the opposite team is calling when you call man.
No, that's fair. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. You kind of read it. Well, it's like defense, right? You read and react, and you kind of make your adjustments as you go based off what the other team is doing. I mean, both sides of the ball you do that, but specifically on defense.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like something also to say like so like say Division 4B and so in Division so it's so in this Division 4B I feel like you start seeing more zones compared to Division 5B and 5A and 6B and 6A.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Mm-hmm.
of teams kind of go in and the call is man right away, you know, and you
Yeah.
kind of see
Hundred
it.
percent.
You're
Hundred
kind of
percent.
scorekeeping. You're like, oh, they're playing man again. Even if one guy's getting toasted the whole game, and the opposite receiver has
Think
four
about playing man.
touchdowns, 200 yards. It's the call. The call
Yeah.
stays man. It's to
Yeah.
a point
Hundred
where
percent. 100%.
that's all we know. A lot of teams don't even know to start calling zones, but when you start getting to the lower divisions, like as again a team like Division 4B, that's when you start seeing zones being called as well,
Yeah.
right? So
It's true. It's
it's
true.
also something very interesting. So for these two teams, who do you have winning?
I got the hooligans. Again, one team has Felix Goutte and the other doesn't. I mean, it's not as simple as that. I just think honestly that the hooligans have the better roster, and again, they have
Yeah,
more experience. I think they'll get it done.
but yeah, well, it's not one. Yeah, but I feel like one player could take control of the whole game, right? So a guy like Felix Boutte, he could go off, and we've seen him before. He could go off for 4 or 5 touchdowns, 200 yards, and
Yeah.
to be honest, when you have a guy that does that, and your defense kind of has been it's been fluctuating, where they do get their stops and they do get their and they do what they have to do. I mean, he's the type of player that could kind of just because his offensive presence, he kind of could control the game for doing a stats like that. So again, to uh to finish my to finish what I was trying to say, I would also go with the hooligan just because the experience and the guys that they do have on that roster.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's hop over to 4A. We got the number 5 seed, the Goons, taking on the number 6 seed, the Killer Rays. I think this will be a really offensive game. The Goons, the number one offense, they scored 376 points in the regular season. Killer Rays not too far behind in terms of points scored. A lot of big name players in this game, especially with Killer Rays. Obviously, Curtis Ryan, two-way player, made All Star this year. Wide receiver, pardon me, of the year. Tyler Gerberg, right? Other Killer Rays. On the Goon side, you have so Ariola Poirier, one of the most underrated players. I've seen him play on a lot of different teams this year. Fantastic player. Justin Goldshea, if you had a chance to play against him, really big, tall target with some speed. He's like that quintessential tight end. He could beat you deep. He could beat you short. Also really good on defense too. And then Crisley Bazil, I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. I had a chance to watch him a couple weeks ago for the first time this season. I had seen his name on a bunch of different rosters. I seen this kid play. He can ball. Bazil can definitely ball. Only I think he's a rookie, only 65 rating on both sides of the ball this year. Um, uh, I think even yeah, Philip Olivier Pepin, I believe he's a former safety, if I'm not mistaken, for Champlain. They have a lot of guys on the team. I've seen the Goons play a couple of times before the playoffs came around. They're a deep team. They have size. They got speed. The Killer Rays aren't as deep, but they also have some size, some speed. I think this could be a really, really close game. They did not play each other in the regular season. How do you see this game shaking out, and who do you think has the advantage in this contest?
So I'm going to give the advantage to the Killer Rays.
Okay.
The reason why I'm giving the advantage to the Killer Rays is because again, I take experience over talent 8 out of 9 times. To eight out of 9 times,
Okay.
if you're
Okay.
gonna ask me, I feel like especially during championship run as well, championship game, I think experience is able. Sorry, experience is better than talent wise.
Right.
As the Killer Rays, they've. I don't think they've. I don't think they've won a championship altogether like that roster, but there's guys they have made playoff runs. They've seen a lot. Um, Regarding the Goons, I feel like it's a team that kind of made a team. A lot they had. It seems like a lot of the guys are friends, and they kind of put
Right.
a team together. And their offense is unbelievable. Their quarterback's amazing. Their athletes are all around. So that's what's kind of keeping them. That's what's kind of them. And that's what's kind of um, keeping them. That's right. That's where I'm losing my thought here. That's the reason why they're in the championship game. Their offense is a type of team where if you blink, you'll miss a touchdown. They just
Right.
score so many points, and they're so hard to stop because they're so athletic and they're so fast. I feel like Killer Rays are gonna come into this and realize that okay, guys, we're not gonna beat these guys by speed. We're not gonna beat these guys by one on one. We're gonna beat these guys by patience. We're gonna have to make sure the quarterback forces a couple of deep balls where we're in the right coverages, and we're gonna pick them off. A couple picks that if they get maybe if Killer Rays can get 2 picks in this game, they're gonna win easily by double digits to a point where Goons are gonna have to keep forcing, and it's gonna be a point where there's only so much you can force. Killer Rays' offense, I don't think Goons are gonna stop them. The quarterback for Killer Rays, I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, Tyler Bianchi.
He knows what he's doing. I've played him before. I've played him a
Right.
couple times.
Right.
He's a very frustrating quarterback to play against. He understands certain concepts and he does what he has to do. He's the type of quarterback. He reminds me of Vinny Galano, where
Okay. Okay. Okay.
the play calling is not amazing, but he understands what his offense that he's running, and he does what he has to do to score touchdowns. So
Okay.
that's like the comparisons that I have for him. But the way he plays, it's to a point where Goons' defense is good, but they don't play well together. And I'm not saying the reason why I'm saying that they're not used to playing flag. So it's a point
Yeah.
where when you call certain things, there's so many loopholes in your defense because you're just not used to the system. So they're a type of team where they do play man, right? Okay, guys, everyone's gonna have a man, and six top. they don't have six top solid guys. They kind of have that deep rotation where okay, like they're not being selfish. Where okay, we're gonna play our top six guys on defense. Our top six guys are playing. It's the point where I think they're like a 10-man roster. I want to say they're pretty deep as a team. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, like usually when they're playing, they're like
Yeah.
10 guys that usually play, right?
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
do have that. They do have that switch. And yeah, it's cool when you're playing your friends, whatever. But there's some guys that don't play defense that should play defense, and there's some guys that don't play offense that should play offense. But again, you can't have a team with 6, 7 guys. For one, the cost becomes pretty high, and two, you do want to play all your friends. So I think
Yeah.
that's gonna be something that's gonna kind of hurt them in the end of it, where you're not gonna have their best guys on the field, and it's gonna be a point where Killer Ray is gonna take kind of advantage of that because again, Killer Goons do allow a lot of points in their games, right? They allow
Right.
they allow 273 in a season. That's still I want to say it's 20 uh, 30. That's about 27 points per game. That's pretty high compared to like it's about four touchdowns per game, which is like it's not that high, but it's still pretty high. And they again they scored over 376, so they're scoring about 37. So most of their games they're winning. If you're taking calculations, they're winning 37-27. It's like that, only by 2 touchdowns. But a
Okay.
team like Killer Rays, I don't think Goons are gonna stop them unless it comes to a point where they're missing some guys are missing that game, and they get better players to play defense. um, I don't see them stopping Killer Rays. And then on the opposite side, I think Killer Rays kind of, if they do realize this, then they're kind of like, hey guys, we're not going to stop them by our talent. We're not going to stop them by the 1-on-1. We're gonna stop them by them being impatient. So they just have to make sure they don't get beat deep because when Goons played Trap Stars, sorry, not Chop Stars. When Goons played their quarterfinal game, so when they played, they
Speed
pit
Academy.
they pit Scott. The quarterback
Mhm.
was throwing deep balls
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the guys
Yeah.
were in coverage. It's just the other guys was faster than him.
Yeah.
So they ran. I think one time they ran a base. It seemed like they ran a 1-3-5. Literally, the corner just got beat by a straight go. The guy literally ran past him. Quarterback just launched it, touchdown. Again,
Yeah.
easy post right in the middle where the guy kind of was looking more to the left side because the guy just got beat deep. So he was kind of like trying to cheat for his teammate, and then a post came right across the field and they're a touchdown there. They're a team that they are going to go over the top a lot of the times,
Mhm.
and teams like that, you have to make sure you do two things. One, don't get beat over top, and two, when they do get those slants and those hooks, everyone deflags them. When you're able to take away stuff like that, it comes to a point where you have to say your guys are not going to beat us off 40 bombs, and you're not going to beat us on 40-yard touchdowns because of broken tackles
Yeah. Yeah.
where you're scoring. You're gonna have to drive and take your time, and that's the way you're gonna have to score on us. So I feel like as a team like Killer Rays, I think they have enough experience to kind of going to this game off the bat and kind of realize like, okay, guys, we're not going to win this with a shootout. We're going to have to try to make sure that this team's going to have eight, 9 play drives, and if for some reason they're in the red zone, we're able to stop them. That's that's amazing for us. But if also for some reason they do 8, 9 plays and they score, that's still a plus for them. That's a win for them. The fact that they
Right.
don't allow them to get the motivation and the hype of scoring a big touchdown, everyone kind of celebrating, everyone's jumping, high fiving, having a good time, compared to you know what, we scored on fourth down, 4th and 4, and they barely scored. You don't have as much of a hype when that happens. You have more of like a stress relief. You're like, oh, it's a good thing we scored there compared to a bomb score touchdown. Like you
Right.
don't have to worry about anything. Everyone's high fiving, everyone's jumping each other, everyone's doing dances, everyone's having a good time. So I feel like that's gonna be one thing. But don't get me wrong, if Killer Rays come out there and they're like, all right, guys, whatever, and you get beat over. If you get beat over top the first play, they're losing. They're losing by 20. If they're coming
Wow.
in,
Okay.
if
Okay.
they're gonna come into this
It's a bold
game,
statement.
well, no, I'm telling you, if they
Okay.
first play of the game, right? I believe Goons is a higher seed than Killer Rays. Killer Rays
Yeah. Yeah.
are
Yeah. Killer Race is 6, Goons are
73.
5th.
Sorry, what?
the Goons are fifth and the Killer Rays are sixth.
Yeah. So um, as to say, I think we do coin toss right now. We don't do. That's one thing we also changed too. We don't
Yeah.
do better seed gets a thing. Better seed gets to choose what they want though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly. Yeah.
the first play of the game, Killer Rays are on defense, and Goons hit them with a straight go. They're
Which they
losing that
probably
game by
will. Which they probably will. Because I'll tell you, listen, the Killer Rays. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. The Killer Rays, out of all the teams that made the playoffs, they actually had the worst defense. Um, I will say, at least points a lot wise, I think that the Killer Rays are better collected. They're a better team. So I was looking at it. They actually won a championship 2 winter seasons ago. In
Okay.
2023, well, Division 5B, so a little lower than what they're playing now. They knocked off Primo 47-18. So a lot of the same guys on the roster now were on that championship team from two seasons ago. Um, I think the Goons are a better individual team. Like they have more explosive players. I could talk about like Poirier, Brazil, Gosses, the list goes
Yeah,
on.
athletic
Chombre.
wise, they're way
Yeah,
better. 100%.
yeah. But you're right. Like having that team and playing together and winning and knowing what it takes to win. I was leaning towards the Goons, but I think you might have convinced me to take the Killer Rays in this one. A little bit of an upset special here. So you know what? I want to go with the Killer Rays. I'm gonna say 38-35 Killer Rays.
It really depends if Killer Rays just understand like you guys have to get deep, like to a point where
Yes, they do.
if
Yes,
you
they do.
if you have to cheat and go deep. Like let them drive. Let them beat you by them beating you, not beating yourself. So again,
Right,
I'm telling
right.
you, this is they play. I just want to make sure they play Saturday at 5 p.m.
Yep.
I think we're doing.
Saturday at
I
five.
think we're doing that game together.
Yeah,
So you're gonna
Saturday
hear
at
it.
five.
You're gonna hear it first from me. First thing I'm gonna say, you get beat deep first play of the game, you guys are gonna be in trouble.
Okay,
Like,
okay. Hold on. Let me say this though. Again, Xavier Tremblay or Xavier Tremblay, however he pronounces it. 36 touchdowns, only one INT. He's a superior quarterback. Not taking anything away from Tyler Bianchi in that matchup, but Tremblay, and I've seen him play. He can run. He doesn't run like a ton, but he can run. I think this game is going to be decided by the rushers. So Jared, I'm looking at it right here. Jared Arani, 18 sacks for the Killer Rays. If he's able to contain Tremblay, because I've seen Tremblay dance on some people before, if he's able to contain him and not let him keep plays alive for too long, the Killer Rays will win. But if he can't, I think the Goons get the W.
yeah, Jared, he's fast.
Yeah, yeah,
Like Jared
yeah.
Arnie, he's fast. He's
Yeah, he
quick.
is.
He's
He is.
tall too, right? I think he's big. Isn't he
Yeah,
tall?
I think he has some size. Yeah, I think he has some size in him. I think he has some size in him.
I feel like I know I've seen him before, but I'm pretty sure he's tall. Um, you said Killer Rays won the
2023. Yeah, they beat Primo in 5B.
They've been secretly good. They just last
Yeah.
winter they played 4B. They finished 8-2.
Yep.
They lost in the semifinals versus Fourth and Schlong. So I mean, again, experience wise, they have it right.
Yeah, sure. They're a good
Well,
team.
again, but this is gonna be a good game.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's gonna be a good game. As I said before, they have to just make sure that they don't get beat over the top because he's gonna throw it. You're gonna see his guy. Like I've watched it. I've seen him. He literally, the guy is his receiver's running a go. The guy's kind of next to him a bit, and all of a sudden he gets a separation. The ball's thrown to a point where you're like, okay, I'm not even giving you that. I don't even think like you're getting that. I'm as soon as the ball is snapped, I'm 10 yards deep and I'm backpedaling, and it's like to the point where that's one thing quarterbacks hate. They hate when they have something in their head like, okay, this guy's gonna beat him on a go. They look and the DB's just backpedaling, and then by the time they look at it, they have a rusher in their face, and it's like, oh, sack, or it's a throw where like, okay, he's deep, they throw it, and they do like a crossing zone, it's a pick, and then it's that one thing where you kind of have to get in someone's head, and I always preach this while not more when I'm playing because a lot of the guys I'm playing they kind of understand, but like coaching wise, I always say like if you're deep, you're deep. And like I have some guys like, oh yeah, but my receiver's not good, or coach, don't worry about it. Like I'm looking across the field like that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, you're listening. it's not about you. It's about
Plus the
the
other guys are running
defensive
too.
system. It's about
Yeah,
everybody else.
yeah, yeah,
If you do your job and he does his job and he does his job and he does your job and he does his job, you know what that does? It gives your rusher a sack. And I always tell guys like it comes to a point where if you're in a zone, right, and there's a receiver running across from you, and you see the receiver and you kind of see the quarterback and you're trying to bait, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get a pick six here.
yeah.
I always tell them, stop trying to get a pick six. Get in front of the guy, take him out of the way. He panics, and then you give your rusher a sack. Sometimes,
True,
yes, it is nice
true.
when you are baiting certain things and like that, but it comes to a point where you take that out of the way, and he wants to throw there so badly, he can't throw there because out, and then he's looking for a second read or a third read or fourth read, but your rusher's already there. It's to the point where quarterbacks, very good quarterbacks, have three, four reads. They go one, they progress one, two, three, four, right?
Yeah,
Most quarterbacks, they kind of go one, two, and then if it's developing, they go back to like two, and they go back to three, and they go back to one, depending on the developing thing. I always tell guys, take away the route. Stop with the baiting shit. Stop with the I'm trying to get a pick six. Be a team player. Take away the route, and then be like, oh, it's a covered sack. Give your rusher
yeah,
some love,
yeah.
And it's
Exactly,
like
exactly.
it's not a pick six, but sometimes you don't even get a pick six because sometimes the quarterback's like he overthrows it or he doesn't throw it, he throws it to the ground or a point where you kind of take it away and it doesn't let him throw the ball on the ground because he tries to progress to another side, and by the time he looks to the other side, it's a sack.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, 100%. Or you get some of those guys who are playing defense and they're playing defense for a reason because they're
Yeah.
aren't the greatest, but it's what it is. Okay. All right. So you're taking the Killer Rays. I'm taking the Killer Rays. I think. Yeah. You know what? I'll roll with the Killer Rays. I'll roll with the Killer Rays. All right. Let's hop over to Division Three. It is backfield penetration, the number 2 seed taking on the Stoics. So we talked a lot about this last week. Both teams dripping with athleticism, great players. There's Nick Rapini, there's Emerson Peterkin, there's Tyson Peterkin, there's Raffi's on that team, Rafa Morelli. Yeah, the names don't end. There's El Andre Abbey, Jalen Greaves, a lot of great players. Yeah, let me shout out another Stoic or two here. Emile Gregoire, yeah, and it's James Drysdale. Obviously, doesn't get much better than that, right? So it doesn't end. Both players are a stack of guys. Mike Pierce is actually qualified for the playoffs, so he has 5 games played with the Stoics, so he could be playing as well. The Swiminahan boys as well. So it's not lacking talented players. This could be the game of the finals weekend, I should say. Pardon me, between these two teams. The game is set to start. It's going to be Sunday at 5 p.m. So make sure you're there for that one. These teams did not play each other in the regular season. We hyped this game up a lot last weekend for good reason. What do you think happens?
Well, I was saying it before. I love backfield penetration, right? I have so many guys in my team,
Mm-hmm.
but I said it. My prediction was Stodix, right? I kind of said
Yeah.
Chris Rivet was going to kind of emerge here in a Division three team. I was kind of surprised he was even throwing for Division three. So there's that. I think his days from throwing Division three is done. I think he's gonna have to throw in Division one soon, and he's gonna have to make do with Division two or Division B. Um, so I think. Sorry, what was the question?
I was just like wondering who do you think is going to win? Because I mean, backfield penetration has the number one offense and actually the number one defense as well. So that's something not to sneeze at. Who do you think is going to get the W here?
I think I'm gonna give it to Stoics. The reason why is because I kind of said it from the beginning. This was my dark horse team. I feel like it was a team to beat before everyone kind of realized it was a team to beat. Um,
Fair, yeah.
I think the only thing I have to do say is like Chris Riviere doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Uh, I think he kind of realized to a point where I think he understands the concept and the systems where 10 yards on 4 plays, to get 10 yards on 4 plays is a joke. I think he kind of upgraded his offense and his playing system and his concept on route running and kind of just concept on how he runs his offense. Right. I think he understands the assignments and what he has to do to get these first downs and win these games. Like every single game he's played, so from going from week one to week to the semifinals, I don't think he scored under 30 points except for the game versus Blue Chips, where he had the game winning drive and then he kind of missed the receiver. And they
Yeah,
still won that game 28-20. Sorry, he had a game win. He could have closed it out before, but I think he missed the receiver and gave Blue Chips the ball back. But he ended up winning that game 28-26. But every single game he's played, he's consistent enough to score that 30 point margin, and then some games
right.
a bit higher than 35. I feel like he has the veteran experience. I feel like he understands what he has to do to win those games. His biggest contest this day was Idaho Pims. Even though they didn't have their quarterback Brady, they still had their defense out there,
It's
where he
true.
was able to
It's
score
true.
34 points and still get that W. He played underdogs, which wasn't the best team going into it, but he still scored 36 points to 19. He played a veteran bullies team where he played a veteran bullies team where he came out with it, scored 44. He understands what to do to win games, and he's a quarterback. He's not going to throw those risky pass um, where it puts his team into a point where it kind of screws them over, compared to backfield penetration where you have
Yeah, Alessandro Berrezzoni. So
yeah,
Barra.
where yeah, Barra. So Barra's an amazing quarterback. He had a great year,
Yep.
52 TDs, 8 INTs, 2,000 yards. He had an amazing year. I think his biggest issue is that when he's off, he is off. And it's a
True.
good thing he has the core he has around him, because he has those guys that could bail him out a lot. And he has Jalen, he has Nicholas Caprini, even Anthony Lazare. He has
Yep.
him as a kind of like a
Big
backdoor
target.
type of
Yep.
receiver. Yeah, exactly. He makes big plays when he has to,
Mhm.
but it's to a point where you don't have the privilege to make those mistakes, right? So it's to a point where it's like, who's going to make the first mistake, right? And I don't think backfield had a hard way to get into the finals. They played barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken, I don't think was. I don't feel like they were a very good team. They played the Penguins, I believe. Again, not a very good team.
No, I think it's the Bruins.
No, sorry, in the semi the DR, so the first round,
Right. Okay.
the
Okay. So yeah, you're
divisional.
right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
My apologies.
I
You're right.
went
You're
backwards.
right.
Sorry. So they played them the first game, and then they
Yeah.
played barbecue chicken, and they played Bruins. Bruins that game, I think they just kind of just Bruins was a good team, but they didn't have they didn't have a roster. They didn't have a talented roster. They had Rocco. Sorry, they had a Rocco that was kind of running the show for them, but they didn't have any big names. They didn't have any big athletes. They're kind of an average team around, and that's
Right.
the reason why they got to where they got to. Compared to
Right.
backfield where you have so many names, you have so many unknown names, and you just have so many all-star players where it's just like this guy could kind of take care of a game, or this guy could take over a game, and then just if he could take over a game, this other guy could take over a game, and they just have so many other guys that kind of like they vibe
Right.
off each other, and they just kind of rub off each other to a point where it's overwhelming the amount of talent wise this team has. So I just don't feel like they had I don't think they've had a challenge coming into these last three games where they're going to go into Stodics, and they're going to have a challenge going in, and if they're not firing off the bat, it's going to be a big issue.
No, I hear you. I mean, listen. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I think they will need to be firing off the bat. And I also agree with you on what you're saying about Alessandro Berrezzoni Barra. Right. I mean, great season. Looking at it right here, he didn't make he made All Star. He wasn't QB of the year, but he made All Star. So obviously that's something as a Jalen Greaves, right? Fantastic receiver. Rafi, defensive player of the year, right? The Russia Rafi
Yeah.
Morelli is on the team, right? So they have that, I guess, that advantage. But you're right. When he makes mistakes, Berrezzoni, they are backbreaking mistakes. I could say the same for having played. I played against Chris Rive more times than I have against Berra. Chris Rive, I think he kind of sometimes will make mistakes too, and it'll be at the most inopportune time for his team. But he does make less than Berra. But again, I think this is kind of the not the coming out party for Barry. He's been on the scene for a while. Again, he made All Star this year, but this is a year where he shuts up a lot of the critics. I remember again a conversation going back to last season on the podcast. He was called Baker Mayfield. I was told he was upset about that. Um, I I think this is his year to kind of shut up all the naysayers and even himself. Like I remember he was on my team. I think his first year in the league, AJ brought him onto my team, and good kid. I liked him, but it's just he would make mistakes and he would get down on himself a lot.
Yeah,
And I've watched him play a lot over the years. I keep an eye on people that I know. He's a good dude. I like him, and he's gotten less hard on himself. Even that game you're talking about against Barbecue Chicken, he had a pretty bad first half. Actually, Isaiah Lard ate his lunch. Yeah, Isaiah Lard had like 4 sacks, including a pick six in the first half of that game, right? And Barra kind of settled himself down and settled down the offense, and they ended up winning big.
yeah.
The final
But
score is indicative of how it is.
yeah, but sorry, just being said, barbecue chicken, yeah, but if it's kind of saying that barbecue chicken had a better roster around that around them, they
Right.
backfield probably would have lost that game. The fact that barbecue chicken didn't have a roster around them, sorry,
They had a roster. They had a
they
better
did have a
quarterback.
roster. They just
Yeah.
didn't have fire, the firepower they had. You know, like if we talked about Jimmy as a quarterback a lot of time. He kind of has like three routes, kind of like a hook.
Go, a go, and maybe a stop and go. Those are his
Yeah,
routes.
exactly. Like he's the type of, he likes to air it out. So you kind of can take away that
Yeah.
take away that out of his pitcher. He's a quarterback that's gonna struggle. You know, I just think the difference between that is like if Barra has a bad game, he's not going to have the privilege to come back the second half. You know,
Right. Right.
I just
Right.
feel like the Sodix, the fact that Chris was able to surround himself with so many weapons and his play calling that he runs and he
Yeah.
feels super comfortable, right? It's not where he has got like I think the biggest issue with a lot of quarterbacks is when they play with certain players, some guys can't do what you want them to do, or you don't feel comfortable throwing the ball to certain guys.
Right.
I don't
Right.
think that's an issue with Chris this year. I feel like his biggest problem was some guys didn't know how to run his routes and he wanted to do. Like Chris is the type of guy where he'll hit you with a triple route, in out in, you know. But you have to run it a certain way for him to feel comfortable to throw you the ball because he wants to throw you the ball. If you're not doing it properly, it comes to a point where he can't run that on one side of the field, right? So instead of saying he can run, okay, you're gonna run in out in, you're gonna run in out in, and then you're gonna run post across, but you're gonna come down. Like, okay, fine, but he's looking at in out in, but he doesn't feel comfortable if that guy's doing it. He's going to look right side, which he has. Let's say he has a James Joyce show doing that route.
Right.
He looks right. Coverage on right is too good. He can't even look back left because he's like, oh, I don't feel comfortable going that way. It's a point where he's able to look right. It's not there. All right, left should be there. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you.
he has so many guys that he surrounded himself with, and they're base receivers. His whole roster going down are all guys that play receiver. There's not. He doesn't have any defensive. Well, he doesn't have a defensive.
Well,
I don't. He
well,
doesn't
Mike.
have any
Yes, Mike. Yes, Mike
guys.
Pierce.
Yeah, but Mike's a snapper. I'm saying like
I don't know. Mike's been on my team, man. Mike called my defense, and we had like legit.
no. Like
Mike,
what I'm saying, like he doesn't have any holes on his offense.
oh no,
You
100%,
don't
yeah,
have.
100%, yeah,
There's
100%,
not
100%.
one guy where I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's he can't do that route, or he's not going to understand that concept.
Right.
Every guy he has around him is going to understand the concept to a point where as long as Chris is able to run his offense and continue and first of all capitalize if Barra makes a mistake, that's going to be the biggest issue in the game. If Barra makes a mistake, I don't think Chris is going to make a mistake with the guys he has around him. Especially during the championship game, he takes everything very like precise where he won't throw the ball. He'll throw the ball away. He'll throw it to the floor if he has to. And then he'll make a complaint saying, my guy's there, my guy's there. Compared to Barra, where I feel like Barra has a lot of more guys kind of in the huddle. I feel like it's going to be more if Barra's kind of screwing up, it's going to be like, oh, he'll
they're gonna start calling your routes. Yeah,
exactly. It's going to be, that huddle is going to be a bit more hectic than Barra's going to want it to be. Where compared to like Chris is gonna kind of like there's no one in the huddle is saying anything to Chris, you know. And I'm not saying I'm not showing any shade to the guy from backfield penetration. It's guys that everyone wants to win, right? But you still have to have a point where everyone is so close in that team where it becomes a saying, and it's like a downfall for a couple teams. And I've been on teams like that where, and I'm the type of player too as well. Like if something goes bad and I feel like I have a matchup, I'd be like, yo, throw me the ball or run this, do this, and then the quarterback is not as comfortable and he's not on his game. And instead of playing on his game, he's playing on his team's game, and that's where it becomes a problem because that's where it forces a lot of throws where if the Stoics are smart, that's when they kind of adapt to that and they just kind of run with it.
Man, okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, listen, again, I think this is going to be a phenomenal game. Okay, so you're going with the Stoics, and I think it's pretty safe
Yeah.
to say. Okay, I was leaning backfield penetration, but I think you talked me into the Stoics. I think honestly the Stoics have the better roster, the better team. Yeah, not throwing shade at anybody on backfield penetration. They have a lot of playmakers on their side, but to have a guy like Mike Pearson who played in the divisional round, he didn't play in the last two playoff games, but if he's available, that's a huge difference maker. That's one reason why I'm actually going with the Stoics in that matchup. I do think Chris is a better quarterback than Barra. I don't think the bar the separation is huge, but I agree with you on that. And I think that you're right about. I didn't think about that. You're right about the huddle maybe might be more hectic on one side than it is on the other. I think if it is going to be hectic on the Stoic side, it's going to be Chris making it hectic because that's what
Yeah,
he does, like
exactly.
firing into one of his teammates. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Stoics in what I think would be actually a really really good
The
game.
the huddle thing, it's only if backfield's having problems. If it's
Right,
everything starts
right,
going like bad,
right.
if it's everything is going fine when everyone's making catches, everyone makes a touchdown, it's fine. It's only when like the game is getting a bit closer, games coming down to an end, and it's like you make a mistake here, you make a mistake there, a missed pass, interception. To be honest with you, I feel like it's first one to make a mistake here loses the game. Um,
Okay, okay.
Regarding these two teams, but I just think I don't. I feel like Stoics are not going to make any mistakes. I feel like both teams are going to score touchdowns for sure. We're looking. I believe we're going to hit. Like this is probably one of the games where it's going to end 40 to like 44. We're going to have a game like that. I just think
Right.
Stoics are going to have that one less mistake, and they're going to end up winning it because of it.
Okay, fair, fair. All right. We'll see what happens again. So we both have the Stoics in that one. Moving on to Div 2. So it is the top two teams as it should be in Division 2. The number one seed, the Dirty Birds, against the number two seed, ECW. This is going to be, speaking of fantastic matches, this will be an amazing game. ECW have not lost since week 3. They have a 9-game winning streak, looking to make it 10 and capture the Div 2 championship. Dirty Birds have been the top team in Division 2 the entire season, leading from wire to wire. Dirty Birds number one defense in all of Division Two. The ECW has the number one offense, so it's top offense against top defense. QB of the year, obviously Jeremy White for ECW, led all players for over 60 touchdown receptions. But in defensive player of the year, Quade Johnson, the captain, along with his dad against Lonnie of the Dirty Birds, right? So top offense again against top defense. How do you think this one's going to shake out?
Yeah, this one's gonna be very interesting. ECW has been going freaking crazy lately. We kind of talked about it during week after like week 4, I think, or week 4, week 5. I think that's when we kind of started talking about it. Just because the fact that they started 0-3, right?
Yeah,
They lost the last 3 games and they finished 7-3, scoring, averaging about like 40 points a game coming down to the stretch.
yeah.
Um, and then again, playoffs wise too, right? They play the Vultures, they get out of it barely with 50, 45, 42, and they play Silent Tickers and they drop a 42 piece on them, right?
Yeah.
So consistency wise going into the playoffs, they kind of do what they had to do. Uh, Compared to so they basically did what they have to do, and then they're playing versus Dirty Birds, as you said, the number one defensive team going into the playoffs. I have to say, I believe it's gonna be on the rusher of the Dirty Birds. It's gonna be on Jamal Noel. I know he had an ankle injury. That's why he had an ankle injury last week.
Right.
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to play my co-ed one semifinal game. So hopefully, it took him maybe 2 weeks to kind of heal back, and he's able to play. Because losing an aspect like Jamal Noah as a rush, it's going to
Oh
be
yeah, yeah.
it's going to be very
Mhm.
frustrating for um, Dirty Birds and their defense because I don't think if Jamal Noel doesn't rush, I don't know who they're gonna send to rush. I would guess it's Naz.
So not Naz is injured right now. He's a little banged up, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play.
Well,
Hopefully
they're
he'll be
gonna
home.
have to find
He was,
someone
yeah, exactly,
um,
exactly.
going into this. Hopefully, it'll be like see a player like. But I don't think they would have been fit as a player like Khalil Kerr. Like I know he doesn't have the 5 games played, but if something like that as a backup would have been nice, or
Yeah,
even a Chris
yeah,
Millard. I think their rating would have been a bit too high as well, since
yeah.
Jamal's kind of like a steal with a 73 and a 78 on his rating. But I think to be honest with you, it's going to be on the rusher. It's going to be if it's going to be how good the rusher from Dirty Birds could go on Jeremy White because we all kind of know how Jeremy White kind of runs his offense.
Oh
He's
yeah,
type of quarterback like he likes to throw first. No, sorry. He does go out with his rolling out system and he has his
Mhm.
floods and his concepts like that. But he likes to throw the ball. But if he has to run, he's gonna run, and he's a very slippery quarterback to kind of tackle. And it's frustrating where you have a good defense called, whatever, and then Jeremy's kind of rolling out left, and then he makes kind of a move, and your guy misses him, and he starts running, and he has like 10, 15 yards there. It's frustrating for a defense. So I think it's going to be really on who's the rusher for Dirty Birds going into it, and if he's able to contain Jeremy White.
So I'm just thinking of something right now. So as you were saying that, obviously about the injury, if Jamal Noel is not able to play, and who would then, like you said, fill in at rush for the Dirty Birds? I had this crazy idea, and I was checking some stats right now to back it up. Because as soon as you said that, I said, okay, well maybe this would be an option. Um, would they entertain when they entertain maybe the idea? And again, this is just something that popped in my head as you were talking. Perhaps having somebody like Matt Bond rush. Now, if you guys don't know Matt Bond, obviously great player in Division One, Division any team Matt's on, he's a playmaker and he usually plays a lot of safety. But I'm asking maybe him as a rusher because he's a coach, right? I believe he's like a speed coach, former youth sports player. He is one of the fastest guys in all of FPF. He's able to stop at a dime. He's played enough defense. He's been around enough good rushers. I'm thinking maybe at least for a couple of plays you have Matt Bond rush
Yeah,
and
but the issue with Jeremy is it's not a couple plays. I've rushed Jeremy before, right?
okay,
And
okay,
I don't like to rush, but he just makes the play last longer than it should be. Like
right,
it's not like Hut, okay, throw the ball, catch. It's Hut, all right, nothing there, roll out right, all right, nothing there, roll out left. He buys himself time, right? So it's not like to a
yeah,
point
yeah,
where you're like, okay,
yeah,
Matt, you're gonna rush like a couple times. Like the rusher is whoever's rushing him is gonna have to. You're not gonna get him at the beginning. You're gonna have to get synced and understand how to rush. It's to a point where you don't want to be switch rusher. Okay, him. Your rusher's gonna be the guy that's gonna be rushing the whole game because you're gonna have to get used to
yeah,
how Jeremy's running his offense. You can't just a lot of rushers, a lot of people I've talked to. Jeremy's the type of guy where you have to kind of like after like 3, 4, 5 times when you understand what he's doing and how his movements are, you feel way more comfortable rushing him
for sure,
compared
for
to
sure.
like switching. Okay, you're rushing these. You're gonna rush this drive. Okay, I'm gonna rush this drive. It's not consistency. You need a full drive to kind of get used to him, and then you
Right.
start getting your stops that you get. Again, for Dirty Birds, they already had James O'Hane's already an injury that they had, so they brought
Yeah.
James Terrell. They used the IR.
Yep.
James Terrell was the replacement. They do have Jalen Granderson
Yep.
as well that they do have. I don't think he's gonna rush, but it's also an extra body that they do use. I'm not sure if he's been playing in the playoffs as much, but because you have Quaid, you have Nas. If Nas is not good to go, right? So let's say you have Quaid, you have Matt, you have Marquise, you have Lonnie, then you have Jalen, you have James, and then you have Breezewall. So they lose a couple of guys if Nas can't go and then Jamal can't go. They do lose two guys off the bat. So the rusher they're gonna have to do if it's I also Matt's also their defensive caller too, right? He's kind of what keeps their team
Right.
intact.
Right. Right.
So the fact that they lose a player like Matt, he kind of understands how a lot of defenses work. So he's like kind of the gravy for mashed potatoes, right? If you, it's got a lot of people saying like How can you
Right,
grade? How can
right,
you match
right.
deals without gravy? You know, it's like type like you don't technically need it, but like it tastes so much better. So that's like Matt Bond playing playing calling defense and kind of running the defense instead of being a rusher. I feel like that's the difference.
Right.
And again, like, but I don't know if let's just say the idea is good because Matt Bond is fast, but I don't think he's gonna take that rushing role. But who is gonna rush if Nas can't go and Jamal can't go? Because you do have to find someone, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So
I'm thinking, unless maybe you have Lonnie. I mean, Lonnie, great athlete. Obviously, maybe
yeah, but the thing is, no, you can't have Lonnie because then Jeremy White's gonna have so much time to
well,
go.
that's what I'm
To go.
saying. That's what
You
I'm
need
saying.
someone to kind of run at him, and it's like after
Yeah,
the first again after the first drive, when you understand what he wants to do, then the rusher would adapt, and he should shut him down to an
yeah,
aspect where he doesn't hurt on his rollouts. I feel like Jamal Noel's type of guy that can do that. Even Nas comes at you full speed, and he does.
yeah,
Sometimes I feel like Nas he's hit Phil Cutler like 2 or 3 times, and I'm after
yeah,
the game, I'm like, you did that on purpose, eh? And he's always like, no, 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 no. I'm like, no, you did that on purpose. You make sure like you're letting him know, like, yo, I'm the boss
yeah.
here. If
No,
you want to
100%,
stop on the dime, you're gonna get run over. Like Nas is like
100%.
I don't think he actually did that like he does it on purpose, but like it's to a point where he'll come at you like he's coming at you full speed. Like
Right,
every single time he's
right.
coming at you full speed, and sometimes he does don't sometimes he doesn't do the best job, but he gets the job done when it has to be done, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. When his teams, I've seen him play a lot. When his teams need to play, Nas will come up and make a play when he has to. Right. I mean, a lot of people look at his size and be like, nah, he can't be that great of a rusher. He's a bigger guy. Nah, Nas can get there. He can get after the quarterback
yeah,
for sure.
that's exactly it. So it's gonna be very interesting. Who steps up to rush there. Hopefully Jamal's ready to go and his ankle's a bit
Yep.
better. He
Mhm.
kind of has to tape it up. He wraps it up. He does a couple sprays. He does whatever he has to do to make sure he's able to go. But if not, it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see who's actually gonna be rushing for them.
It will be. I mean, maybe even Quaid. Quaid has a lot of size, right? He has that length. Maybe get his arms up in the passing lane. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking Matt because of the that explosion that Matt has, especially like in that short distance, right? And in that 5 to 7 yard
yeah,
distance, he's really explosive. I was just thinking maybe someone like him. And
yeah,
shout out to Nas, by the way. Shout out to Nas. I want to say obviously he's going through some health things right now, so shout out to him. Hopefully he's on the mend, and we'll see him back on the field
yeah.
maybe this weekend. If not, definitely in the spring season.
Yeah. But also Jeremy White's not that fast either, right? He's not the fastest guy.
True,
He's just
true,
super shifty and he's good
true.
at what he does, you know. So sometimes you don't need someone as fast. You just need someone to like more have that contained type of
Yeah,
issue. Because again, Dirty Birds have a amazing defense. They're able to travel
yeah,
fast, right? So it
exactly,
comes to the point where
exactly.
you like the biggest thing you want Jeremy to do is roll out right and then throw left or throw on his back foot because he does
Yeah,
do he does throw the
yeah,
ball a couple times like that, like those
mhm.
circus throws, kind of like a
Yeah,
Theo
yeah,
Ojea. Theo Ojea made
yeah.
some couple crazy throws like that, and sometimes it worked out, and sometimes it didn't. You know, so
Exactly, exactly.
I don't think
Okay.
speed exactly is what you need, but you are going to need someone that understands what Jeremy White is doing and at least understands how to rush.
Yeah. Okay. So again, we've been saying defense wins championships. Do we think that's going to be the case here in Division Two this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is where ECW kind of gets exposed um, regarding their offense. I think Dirty Birds is like it's the perfect team to kind of show them that.
Okay.
Unless they don't have a rusher, if they don't have a rusher. What I said is completely different. But if Jamal Noel is able to go, if sorry, I'll rephrase that if Dirty Birds was a fully functioning roster with no injuries, I think Dirty Birds would be the team to kind of slow down ECW. I think athletic wise and matchup wise, they probably have the best matchup on paper for ECW. Size wise, I think they're bigger than them. Athletic wise, I think they're better than them. Speed wise, I think they're better than them. I think they have the best matchup for ECW. I think this is probably the worst matchup ECW could play against because across the board, I feel like um, Dirty Birds is just so much better.
Okay.
What does work so well for ECW is the concept Jeremy does do, and Jeremy has been in the league for a while. He kind of understands the quarterback. Jeremy understands the quarterback concepts that he has to run regarding a lot of teams. But it comes to a point where you could probably run a full out man with EZW a couple times, and if you have a good rusher, it's going to be very frustrating for Jeremy. He's
Right.
not going to have those certain route, those crossing routes, those certain comebacks there because they're going to pretty much jump on everything. So I think to answer your question, I think if Dirty Birds kind of understand, if Dirty Birds have a good concept going this who the rusher is, I think they'll be able to win this championship.
All right. All right. I'm gonna say, I mean, listen, ECW has been impressive. 9 wins in a row. They're looking for 10, like I said. I'm gonna give the edge to the Dirty Birds under the assumption that Jamal Noel will would be at 75%, which I think will just be enough to help them out and might be able to get at least one or possibly two turnovers from the ECW offense. ECW, again, their offense is phenomenal, but they gave up a ton of points. I think that's gonna be also a difference in that game. So I'm gonna say Dirty Birds will
Yeah,
be your Division 2 champs. Yeah,
that's also something to think about.
yeah, yeah,
They did give up a lot of points. It's also a good thing they have Fitzgerald
yeah, yeah. The
Tacitus
sentences, yep,
that's also eligible to play.
it's
He's
true.
also good. He's a big help for the defensive side.
100%,
Um,
100%.
but again, this is probably going to be one of the best games as well too. On Saturday, it's probably I think it's the last game of the night too. I think it's 8:45. I believe it's the last game of the night.
Yeah,
So
I can tell you that in 2 seconds.
or close to the last game of the night. It's gonna be this is gonna
Second
be
to last.
this is
Second to last on
so this
Saturday.
is gonna be one of the games where if you are viewing it, you're definitely gonna see a show.
Definitely,
So popcorn, soft drinks, candies
yep.
will be needed.
All the
will
healthy
be
stuff.
needed for the team.
All right. Okay, so let's hop over to the cream of the crop now. Division 1. It is the 5 seed Flagmont Sack taking on the top seed, the Braves. The Braves swept them twice in the regular season, winning 40-33 in week 10 and winning 35-18 in week 11, so just a couple of weeks ago. Those games actually happened 4 days apart. So the Braves again, top defense in the league, flag one, number one offense. So again, it's a case of number one offense against number one defense, or if you want number one defense against number one offense, whichever way you're looking at it. Guillaume Paquette, the reigning wide receiver of the year. Alexander Puis is quarterback, the QB of the year. Um, a little odd not to see any Braves make make All Star, I should say, pardon me, this year, but they can now take out their revenge this weekend, and they'll have the last laugh if they can win this Division 1 championship. What do you think is going to happen in this contest?
This is gonna be an amazing game. Um, Braves versus Flagmois again. I think it's gonna be like it's gonna become a rivalry between these two teams. It's becoming a lot of the point where these are two of the teams that make it to the finals. I
Mhm.
also do want to answer your question. The reason why I don't think the Braves had a lot of guys in All Stars, they had a lot of guys that only played 7 games.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
had Jerry Murphy, Mayer, JD, James, Dridester. Isaiah only played 5.
Hmm.
The only person that played 10 is Mike Fassin,
Yeah.
Mike, and then
Yeah.
he had Phil Fahan. So they had a lot of guys that just kind of, and then Emil also played 9. But
Right. Right.
they had a couple guys that didn't get to play their 10 games. So the fact that makes a huge difference between
Right.
that's like extra 3 picks or extra 200 yards and like a couple touchdowns, especially with a team like the Braves, where Jonathan Mayer could feed you the ball to a point where you do go off for 100 yards a game. So 100 yards a game, three TDs, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the issues. So regarding this game, yeah, it's probably gonna be the best game to watch. For I think they play on this Sunday, right? So that's probably one of the best games to watch. Gonna be this game in the 5v5 as well. But we'll talk about that when we get to there.
Yeah.
Both teams kind of understand what to do. The Braves have a bit more of experience with their offensive concepts and their defensive concepts compared to Flagmois, where they're kind of more of a team where uh, they're just so used to playing with each other from years on. They kind of are adapting to kind of the new system that a lot of teams are still using compared to the Braves, where the Braves are going to more tournaments and kind of understanding more concepts and kind of bringing those concepts to FPF and kind of using it where teams kind of see that and they're kind of adapting to it later, and then they're kind of bringing it into their game moving forward. So the Braves are kind of have the more experience on that side, but I think this game is going to really come down to which quarterback screws up first and who's able to have the better stop. Actually, which quarterback that screws up twice? Because I think that like nowadays it's like, sorry, which quarterback screws up first and converts. So whoever throws the first pick and then whoever gets the most converts, because they're both teams where they're going for two. Bray's the type of team where they try to get an extra score on you because they kind of realize, especially for Division One, right? The rules did kind of change, which is great to see that you have to get midway for the first down compared to
Yeah,
getting 10
yeah,
yards. Because getting 10 yards and having all these athletic guys in the field, especially for just for offensive wise, it's kind of sometimes it's impossible to get a stop on defense. You kind of need to make sure the quarterback screws up, or you need to make sure you're shooting a zone. And for some reason, you're kind of throwing three guys underneath with an air guy coming from their side. Quarterback kind of doesn't see it, throws the ball, doesn't see the guy coming across. You get the interception. That's how you win the game. A lot of teams kind of realize where like you don't make stops in Division One. Like that's not a thing. Like you make it stops in Division One, it's like literally a party.
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah,
kind of going
yeah,
crazy.
exactly,
We don't
exactly,
make stops.
exactly.
It's kind of the point where it becomes on converts. Who can get the most converts? Because you have games that end like 45, 47. It's like, oh, was there any stops? No, the only stops that we had was convert stops. Like where the kind of
Yeah,
quarterback messed up. That's
yeah,
kind of stops to get. So the thing the thing that is different, the thing that is different coming into this is like the new rule going midway. I think Braves do have the advantage in that because they're used to playing 5v5 compared to 5-1, where they're not used to the 5v5 rules where they do have the midfield. They do have the midfield to get the first down. So I
right,
think
right.
that's the reason why the Braves do have a better advantage because your play calling changes a bit because it's 6-on-6, not 5-on-5. But you still have the basic concepts to what the play calling, where you have to realize that okay, we don't need 10 yards now. Now we need 25 to get to the first down. So there is that. But again, I'm going to keep to what I said before. I think it's whoever makes the first interception, and it's going to be on converts.
Okay, okay. So again, look at this matchup again. Flagmont South looking to avoid being swept 3 games to none. Just looking how both teams got there. The Braves, they knocked off in the semifinals, run it twice, 39-14. Whereas, so I was looking at the Flagmont Sack again, obviously finishing, as I said earlier, with the lower seed. They had to play 2 games, right? They knocked off the All Stars pretty much. I scored at the game on the last play of the game, pretty much. They knocked off the All Stars. And then they beat Royale Luminaire pretty much again on the last play of the game, more or less, right? So, how much do you think that factor, again, Braves, well, they beat Reddit twice. My apologies to you. They kind of laid a beating on you guys. How much do you think that matters? One team advanced in a blowout that was pretty much over almost at the halfway point of the game, whereas the Flag, the other team, 2 tight games, they're able to pull it out. Do you think that will have any impact, pardon me, on this game?
No, I don't. I don't think it's gonna have an impact. If Braves were less experienced, I would say it would have a bigger impact because
Yeah.
they got into finals kind of with a breeze. But the fact that again, when they beat us the way they beat us, and they beat the way they beat All Stars, it's two big, it's two blowout wins that they did have. But it's the reason why they won those games the way they did. They took advantage. They understand the concepts. They just played better than the opposite team compared to a team where if you're just better than them in general and you're just kind of like doing whatever you want and then you end up winning the game by 20 and then you get into the finals you're playing versus a team that you didn't play against in the previous matchups where you're kind of like they were just not good. Again, they beat all stars. The Braves beat Run It twice, which again, Run It twice is not a bad roster, not a consistent roster, but not a bad roster. And then you beat the All Stars, where you have a veteran quarterback like Kevin Wyeth, where
Right.
he's not a bad quarterback as well, and you had a roster that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Braves just did what they had to do, and they ended up taking advantage, and they kind of just didn't look back compared to Flag Moi, where they had to play. They played their 2 games. Oh, sorry. Braves played who in the
Braves, so they had the bye, right? Because they had the number one seed, right? So the only playoff game they had was back on April 30th against
yeah. So they only yeah exactly. So
Braves.
they only played Run It twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, exactly. So back to what I'm saying, I don't think it's a big difference just because of the experience the Braves have. They're not a team where they're not a team where they're not a team where they don't get their reps, right? I'm pretty sure they even do practices
Right.
together and they kind of just make sure they get they have things keep on rolling compared to like Flag Moi, for example. I don't think they do as much, but they got the reason why they got into the games because coming out uh, they end up coming out with their with literally the last, as we said, the last play versus All Stars, last play versus versus Royal as well. But there's a reason why they won that game. So I don't. I touch your question. I don't think there's going to be any rust. The reason I don't think there's going to be a difference between the Braves winning a blowout win and kind of not playing to their full potential compared to like Flagmore having to play a full game and kind of getting a full experience and kind of getting a full experience saying, okay, guys, well, we have to make a winning drive to win this game or
Right,
our big
right.
stop to win the game. I don't think there's going to be a difference. I don't think there's going to be a. I don't think that's going to be a reason.
A
I don't think
factor,
that's
yeah.
going to affect anything going
Okay.
into this final matchup.
Okay, so I want to ask you one more question. You talked about both quarterbacks already. So Joe Mahu, obviously of the Braves, is going to be in this game, and Kevin Wyeth, obviously the All Stars, the two best currently playing for the last couple seasons in FPF, and some would say the greatest of all time. If Flywan Sack is able to pull off the upset and knock off the Braves, where do you think this championship would place Alex Nando Puis, the quarterback from Flywan Sack, in that hierarchy? Because some people have Kevin first, some people have JD second, other people have Joe, pardon me, other people have Joe first, Kevin second. Obviously, Alex is third right now in terms of the best quarterbacks in all of FPF. But where do you think a championship victory, especially over Mahil, would place him? How much do you think that gap would be closed by a championship
Well,
by Alex?
I think it's going to depend on how good of a Braves team do you think they are right now in this winter season.
Okay.
I think it's going to be based off of that. So if you think this year Braves' winter team is extremely good, right? Because this year they're a bit different, right? Their winter team isn't really stacked to the team they
Right.
usually have. I believe they're missing Guillaume Bernard on this roster that they
Mhm.
usually have, and they're missing Gabe. I think those are the two guys that they don't usually have, and they're missing a William Tuxley as well. He usually plays them, so they're missing three
Yeah.
kind of key players that are not going to be there going into this finals, right? Compared to how when they have their full on
Right.
powerhouse roster where they have that. So I think it's really going to be depend on how good you think this Braves team is because as we know it, this is not the best version of the Braves, right? Their 5v5 team is that's more of a better version of them.
Right.
Even though I think they're still missing Guillaume Brillant, amazing defender on that
Yeah.
side. But this is not the best roster that the Braves could come out with, right? So I think it's gonna really depend on how good you think this Braves team is for this winter. If you think they're as again, I don't think this is the best Braves team. So maybe the fact that if Flagmont does win this game, maybe you don't like you give kudos. Don't get me wrong; they still beat a pretty good Braves team, but they didn't beat the best Braves team compared to last
In the
winter. Let's
past,
say they
okay.
had a full roster of a team that they did lose against. They did
Okay.
if you ended up beating them. So I
I
think it's really
no go.
so I think it's really going to depend on how you see their Brave, how good of a team you see the Braves this winter. So like
Okay.
I
No,
don't
that's
think this
fair.
as I already said I don't think this is the best version of the Braves.
Okay, I'll counter with. I mean, okay, yeah. Listen, they don't. Guillaume Bellon only played 3 games. Only played two, so he's not able to qualify for the playoffs. Same thing. William Traches played three, so he's not qualified for the playoffs. So those are two losses out of their regular squad. And yeah, there also there's no George Garapi. I don't believe he's even playing anymore. So
Yeah, I don't think I think he
yeah,
plays just in the Joliet League. I think
right,
they.
right. So yeah, that's a big loss as well. But listen, they added Jeremy Murphy. They have a current
Yeah,
CFL receiver on the team. So I mean, it's not that's not too bad. That's not too big of a drop off there. You're getting a CFL receiver to play on your team, so it's not so bad. And yeah, Gabe isn't there, but I mean, yeah, you have James Drysdale kind of full time now on this roster as well, right? So I would argue they lost some really good guys. They added some really elite players as well. So I mean, to toss up, you're right. It's not the Braves team that we've seen in the last couple of years. You're 100% right on that. Um, I don't know. I still think listen. If Flag One wins the championship, that banner will fly forever, as the saying goes. But again, so back to my question: like, how much do you think that closes the gap though for Alex if he's able to guide his team to a victory?
I think it closes the gap. Eh, Again, like, it's I feel like I okay. I think it closes the gap a lot. just because the difference between the the difference between the Braves and Flagmont is the experience that both teams, the different experience that both teams get, right?
Mhm.
A lot of like Braves are starting to be known outside of Canada as well, right? Are
Mhm.
they're starting to be known very well inside
Yeah.
Canada,
Yeah.
also outside Canada, right?
Yeah.
So it's to a point where Flag Moi comes into this flag league, right? They've been here since forever. It seems like they've been here for a while.
Yeah.
They come here, they end up playing versus a powerhouse Braves team that's ranked number 1 in Canada and the States. They win their championships here and there, or they finish top 5, top 6.
Mhm.
He comes in there, whatever, with his roster that he has forever. They don't really make any adjustments. They kind of just bring guys that they kind of know. Um, are guys that have been playing for a while. They don't really substitute guys and kind of kick guys off. Or so the fact that he comes into this game and he wins a championship, it's huge. Do I think it makes him better than Jonathan Mayer? No, but I would feel like it makes him pretty damn close. It makes him pretty damn close to him. The fact
Okay.
that he's not doing all those extra type of things and traveling and going here and playing versus all this competition overseas like that, and then you end up coming to FPL League and winning a championship. Like at the end of the day, like we definitely probably have the most talented Division 1
Yeah.
teams in Canada, I would say, like as if you want to look at a full on, let's just say you take the top 8 teams in a division, you barely have maybe one or two outside of Canada where inside of Canada where you have a league where you're like, oh yeah, we have this team, this team, this team, this team, this team, this team. You probably can name maybe one or two teams, and even at that, they're not that well good. They're not that good compared to over here where you're able to say, yeah, well, we have Braves, we have Braves, we have Flag One, you have Party Crashers, you have Royal Lemure, you have Run It Twice. You have so many athletic guys and so many athletes that play in these type of divisions where first of all, it's like a blessing because you're playing so much talent, but also like again, like the fact that Flagma is going to come into this, and if they do win, it shows that they are the real deal, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't think he surpasses Joe for on the podium, but I think it brings him pretty damn close.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So that being said, who do you think gets the W?
I'm gonna give it to uh,
Tough one there.
huh?
Tough one. Tough one.
Well, uh, because the thing is, they're playing back to back, right? Like I
Yeah.
know we're
Yeah.
talking about it in Division 5, so
Mhm.
like I'm gonna have to give it to the Braves
Okay.
just because of the experience. I'm gonna have to give it to the Braves.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna say Flagmont Sack pulls off the upset and wins in Division 1. And I think in 5v5 in a competitive division, which we'll get to in a few minutes, I think the Braves win that one because again, I think they have more 5-on-5 experience.
Okay.
Flag. All right.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. Best of luck to both teams. Again, that game will be Sunday at 6:15. Let's go to women's two. So matchup that women's two.
Yeah.
Number 4 Chaos against number 8 Citadin. Chaos knocked them off. A tight one, 32-31 back in week 8. We talked about that a little bit last week. Allison Sobel 5 TD throw 5 TD throws, 5 TD passes in that week 8 victory. Athena Ryan 4 TDs, 2 INTs. Our homegirl Gigi, 3 touchdown receptions and 1 INT as a two-way player that she is. So Johnny Chouanier Imard had a pick six in that game, and the only turnover thrown by Allison Sobel. So the question is, obviously, besides who's going to win this game, what do you think is going to be the key to victory for either side in this contest?
Quarterbacks. I think both quarterbacks is gonna be the key point. Who makes less mistakes in this game?
All right.
So we have Allison, right? And we know Allison, she's a gunslinger.
Oh yeah.
She,
Oh yeah.
she throws the ball. She has a lot of attempts, a lot, right? A lot of time her attempts are it's kind of her numbers are actually sometimes crazy. It's like sometimes I'm looking at like she threw the ball 51 times. In my head, I'm like, it's crazy. Her numbers are always high, right? But her biggest issue is her interceptions, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes she throws too many picks. Sometimes she throws too many ints where she should be able to avoid those, or she's not able to score convert in the red zone. I think those are her two biggest issues. That when she's in the red zone, sometimes she can't
Hmm.
score, or
Yeah.
when she does have a drive coming, she ends up throwing that interception where it does hurt her team.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues regarding her. Same thing for I think her
Yeah. Athena Ryan.
Yeah, Athena Ryan. So Athene, I think she has kind of like the same issue as well. She's also a gunslinger. She does get the ball down. She gets the ball down the field, and sometimes she makes super good reads, and sometimes she makes reads where it's just like, oh, maybe she shouldn't have thrown that, and she also
Right.
leads to interception. So I think we're getting two quarterbacks that kind of have the same um, um, player mechanics, while they both like to air the ball out, and they both do the same type of kind of mistakes where they kind of throw an interception where they could have maybe threw it on the floor, or they make a wrong read where it could have ended up being a touchdown.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's kind of what we're kind of getting into. And then they also have a lot of players that are play rollers around them as well. Because as again, you have Citadine that has amazing athletes around them, and the
Hmm.
same thing for Chaos, where you have amazing play rollers around them as well.
Okay. I think
Hopefully,
they're
this
really trying to say it's role players.
role players. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
it's been a
I know.
long day.
Nice. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right. So just looking at this matchup here again,
What
this is the sorry. Go.
Sorry, one thing to also look at, right? So if you look at Citadine, so UCAM, they're a
Mhm.
roster of three, six, seven. They're a roster of 13 girls, right?
Mhm.
Legible, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They have 14 girls that technically play this game. Going into the semifinals, they had on their roster, they had three, uh, three, six, nine. They had 11 girls that played, right?
Mhm.
It's just yeah, 11, 3, 6, 9. That's actually not that bad. I thought their roster was going to be like 13, 14. Because again, this is the Cincinnati team two. So
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
this is all their rookies and girls that are kind of trying out to see who could make the last cut
Right.
for the
Right.
Division One team. Um, so there's also that to kind of look at it, because to a point where I know during their season it was kind of like they're getting a lot of girls playing time, and kind of like a lot of girls were kind of playing into that game, and they're kind of getting their reps. But I'm curious to see how it's gonna happen, right? So if they have 13 girls that show up, you kind of lose that momentum of kind of saying who's going in, who's going out, because 13 girls,
Right.
5 on 5. I understand a lot of teams are 5 on 5. You have five starters on offense, five starters on defense. You don't have a lot of players going both ways. But to have 13, it's kind of a point where you're gonna have to kind of get some people playing both, not both ways, but you're gonna have to get subs in, right? So
Right. Right.
I'm saying if you have a corner that's not as fresh with someone else that you didn't get the first drive when coming in, and then you're subbing somebody out, and then she's subbing somebody out, sometimes that could be a problem. Because again, unless depending how the coaches are gonna play this out, and how they're gonna play their girls, that's also something that to kind of look as a factor on who's gonna be playing and who's not gonna be playing.
Yeah. No. Exactly. I mean, listen. I think looking at both teams again should be a competitive matchup as the last game as the game was in the regular season. And again, this will be the final game to wrap up night one of championships in Broussard this Saturday. Um, I think this game is going to come down to turnovers. Like you said, Athena Ryan and Allison Sobel, they're both solid quarterbacks, but they are both gunslingers. They have no problem airing it out time and time again, and sometimes making those risky throws. I think just like in the first match, I think the quarterback with the least amount of interceptions is going to lead your team to the W in this one. Playmakers not a problem. Both teams have like a ton of playmakers on both sides of the ball. Again, I think it's just going to come down to turnovers. Who will be able to control the turnover margin is going to, I think, emerge victorious in that game. One question everybody wants to know, obviously, the homegirl Rochelle will she be able to play? I know she has that she said not broken finger, Yes, Ray looked broken to me, but we should be we should be able to play in the game.
Is that a question or is
Yeah, is that a question? Yeah, yeah. I know she. When I talked to her 2 weeks ago, she's like 100% she's going to be playing. But I mean, saying it and doing it are two different things.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends. I know she's like wearing a sling right now. I
Yeah,
believe, or taped fingers. So, again, she said it's not broken, or it's not, or it's part, or I think it's partially broken, or something like that. But it's not 100%. That's for sure. So
okay.
hopefully she is able to go. I think we were kind of both saying it's her pinky, right? I believe it's her
Yeah,
pinky. So
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
have to.
Okay.
You're gonna have to. I'm pretty sure she's gonna have to buddy tape to see how good the healing is. She did have a couple of weeks to kind of heal,
Yeah,
regarding
yeah,
she did not play the quarterfinals. She didn't play the semifinals either, right? So she got, and then she has the two. Then she got the 2 weeks off for the finals, going
right,
into it.
right.
So that's the kind of good thing. That's the thing that kind of benefits with the schedule, going into it, where a lot of teams did have that big break, right? So they played. Their last game was April 27th, and then their next game was May 17th. And I
Right.
believe she got hurt versus the Wolf Pack. I want to say she got hurt April 21st versus the Wolf Pack. So she technically had, um, when I want to say she had a month of recovering after that game.
Okay.
So hopefully she is a bit better, and she's able to play, because I know it's an unfortunate injury, especially when your team makes it to the finals, especially if your team loses the finals. I think that's the worst thing,
Yeah,
where your
yeah,
team
yeah.
your team makes it there and you're like, okay guys, good job, you guys held it down, because she's an amazing defensive player, and she does a huge impact for a team. And the fact that I want to go back into, the game that they did play, Chaos versus, Citadin. That was in that was week 8, right? You're saying the score 32
Yep,
31.
yep.
So Rochelle had 9 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown, and she also had a batted down pass. But she's kind of like, I believe she calls her defense as well, right? So she has extra points. So she did enough for her team to win that game,
Yeah.
and it was a close game. They won 32-31. So not having her there is going to be unfortunate if that does happen. So hopefully she is good to go, and she's gonna be able to play in the championship 13.
Yeah. So we'll find out Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Who do you have in this game?
Um, I'm gonna give it to Chaos.
Okay.
I think at first they didn't look so good. They didn't look as good, but going down to this playoffs, they took care of business, against Wolfpack. They won 23-13,
Mhm.
and then they had a huge game versus, X-Cons, where I thought X-Cons
Yeah.
maybe would able
Yeah.
to run them for their money. But no, they took care of business in that game, and they also didn't have Rochelle for that game as well, right? So
True.
it kind of just shows that, um, that they don't need Rochelle as much as a lot of people might have thought. It comes to a point where Rochelle is one of their best players on that team, but they're able to adapt, and they're able to get the win over XCons. A lot of times where you do lose one of your best players, it becomes an issue, and a lot of teams do lose because of that. But chaos kind of just chaos kind of just showed us that even though we have a player that's down, where we're still able to win games. So I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to chaos, and I think they're gonna take care of business and, win themselves an air championship.
Okay.
Yourself?
I'm gonna agree with you for the simple reason that Chaos's defense. I'm looking at it right now, including the playoffs. Over the last 5 weeks, they've given up a grand total of 31 points. So
Yeah.
that's yeah,
No, they're, again. Remember, chaos is the type of the thing that's kind of crazy, right? Is that, like, they're so close to compete versus, like UCAN, the number one team, like their
Mhm.
A team, Sub Zero. Like they're
Yep.
just missing one or two pieces, a couple switch a couple of switches on their offensive play calling, and maybe even like a coach, because I think a lot of times you kind of do need a coach to kind of help you out,
Yeah.
regarding the game. If they get those three pieces and they kind of just put it all together and have the experience, I think they'll easily be able to run with a lot of these Division 1 women teams, right? So I think the fact that like they're definitely one of the top teams in Division Women's Two this year, like
Yeah.
without a doubt. They did have a slow
Mhm.
start, when
Yeah.
they did play versus the top two or three teams in their division, but after that they haven't looked back, and it's like yeah, it is like some people a lot of people are saying it is surprising, but again they have by far one of the top. They have by far one of the top rosters in women's two, and even
Yeah.
women's one, they do have a lot of names that could for sure be able to play in the women's one easily. Just the fact that you have to get on a roster, and it's
Yeah.
hard to get on a roster as well, right? They already a lot of these women's teams already have their rosters
Well,
in
that's
play.
it. That's it, right? I mean, listen, I look at it like this. I mean, you take Rochelle, Marilyn, Lamise, obviously, right? Emma, Gigi, Allison. They've been together for like a million years, right? And they add a player like Noemi, and Noemi Alma. She's a solid player. If you haven't seen her play,
Yeah,
do yourself a favor. Like talking, not you have obviously, but people at home watch her play, right? You have like Zoe Wong, right? Like a lot of these players are coming in and
pressure.
making an impact and keeping the ball rolling. And these ladies, they can all ball. They could all ball, right? Kia Allen Beckles as well. She didn't have as big of a role she usually has this year, but I mean,
Yeah,
right? Again, players that have experience in a lot of big games together. They won championships together. These ladies know how to play some ball, right? So I mean, and if you're able to add pieces that could kind of just add on to that, that makes you unstoppable. And you're right. I really think they should be making that switch to women's one this coming year. I remember in the past they played against Sub Zero. Sub Zero slapped a lot of teams around Chaos as well when they were known as what's their former name? I'm
Red
drawing
Nation.
a blank. Thank you, Red Nation. There you go. Right. I think that was kind of a learning experience for them. I think going forward now they should be in women's one, and they could definitely give teams a run for the money and potentially make a run at a championship.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. As I said, it just sometimes it's a little things that you have to change, and that goes for a lot of teams, right? You have these Division 3 teams,
Yeah.
Division 4 teams. Sometimes you have to make that switch. You have to get the extra guy to come on your roster, to get on your team, and then the play calling. You have to realize like, okay, I can't call this because the game runs too fast.
Yeah.
I don't have the luxury of calling a slow slant left because to the halfbacks going to be able to play both the defenders going outside, right? You have to realize that
Yeah.
the competition is a bit higher, so you have to bring guys in or women in, depending on the situation. You have to bring an extra player in. Sometimes you have
Mhm.
to take a player out. Sucks to say it, but it has to be done sometimes. And then your play calling has to switch. Everyone has to kind of adapt for the better cause to be able to play in the higher division. And you do see it a lot with a lot of teams, like as an example, a team like Bless, right? As a team as a like they're Bless started in Division 5 or Division 6, and now they're competing in Division 1, Division
Yeah.
Two, and they made their cuts. Steven Harpenstar changed his playbook. He did what he had to do, and he's still competing in a lot of these games. So yeah, the rules sometimes some of the rules did kind of screw him over regarding this season, but it's one of the examples where you adapt to what you have to adapt to, and then you see the progress and what you're able to do in a better division.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Again, not taking anything away from the Citadin. Great team. Marika Bouchard, Anik Benelil, Morgan Lafall. They got some players as well. Again, we talked about Athena Ryan. They got some players. I expect this to be a really good matchup. I hope it's just as good as the regular season meeting was. Again, I'm going to give Chaos the victory here. I think they just have just a little bit better of a roster. And again, obviously a lot of experience right on their side. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
They do have the championship experience as well as
exactly,
you're saying.
exactly.
They won a couple of championships now.
There you go. All right, let's hop into the final women's division, the women's one. We have top seed, of course, Sub Zero, to the surprise of nobody. Taking on the number 3 seed in Cayenne. Cayenne had its Sub Zero, the only lost the season by a score of 27-26. That was back in week 4. The game before that, Sub Zero beat Cayenne 34-19. So two heavyweights again going at it for the women's one championship. Again, listen, we look at Sub Zero, right? Sarah Parker, Sabrina Gervais, all the names. You can go up and down the list. They are the standard in women's football here in the province of Quebec, and some people would even say around Canada or maybe even North America. Um, it is what it is. Caroline Moquin Joubert, wide receiver of the year. Sarah Parker, obviously quarterback of the year. Sabrina Gervais, two-way player of the year. The list goes on and on, right? So the question, of course, is Sub Zero just going to waltz to another victory, or can Cayenne walk away with the championship?
Yeah, this is the to be honest, this for me, this is a flip of a coin. These both these teams are used to seeing each other. They play with each other in pretty much any outside competition other than the school, right? Like
Hmm.
a university. But even at university, they you had some of these players played with each other or played with each other. But this team is so used to each other where they'll see each other at nationals, or they'll see
Yeah,
each other at a U.S. national tournament. Like they're so used to each other, and I'm telling you, they kind of it's the point where okay, you guys win this one, we won this one, we won this, you guys win this one. They're just kind
right.
of switching wins here and there. So again, I really don't know who's going to win this game. Both rosters are stacked from top to bottom. As
Yeah,
again, we're so lucky and we're so privileged to see the women talent type of football we get to
yeah,
watch because these are by far some of the best athletes in Canada and also in North America. You as you said, I've seen both of these teams play in the top caliber divisions in the states, and they make teams look stupid. Like they make grown teams that are the top teams in their state or whatever, or top teams come to tournaments, and then you have Sub Zero that comes in, they end up winning it all, or you have Cayenne that comes in and it's winning one. Cayenne just
mhm,
won one of the USA national title, where I think it was I'm not sure if it was the the like the hardest one to win or it was the second hardest to win, but they ended up beating one of the best teams where they had USA talent on Team USA that was part of that team, and the Cayenne was able
wow,
to
yeah,
pull it through, and they were able to win that game. And I think it was national televised on our I forgot what it was on, but it was on the not the news, but it was on a channel which was like super big for them to promote it, and it was also televised for on that channel as well when it did happen. It was a big thing. So again, I also think Cayenne knocked out Sub Zero in the semis to get there. So again, I think this is going to be a flip of a coin. A flip of a coin. Again, it's going to be who has the less mistakes between both these teams, between both these quarterbacks, between both of these defenses, offenses. Whoever has the least amount of drops, the least blown coverages, and whoever can store more converts for this game is going to be very big. I think it's going to be a very defensive game. I think when it comes down to it, it becomes huge, especially in the finals, because both teams kind of see what each team is going to do, and you're kind of locked in compared to like a regular season game where you're kind of like not nonchalant, but you're kind of like you're a lot of the girls are more kind of having fun compared to going into a finals. You're preparing. Like both these teams have coaches. Both of these coaches both understand what both these teams want to do, and they make sure that they're not going to be able to do what they want to do. They kind of get them in situations where it goes for and out, or kind of like stop. You guys get to stop. We get to stop. They get to stop. We get to stop, and then they score. I feel like a lot of times that's how these games kind of go, and then one team kind of starts pulling away, and they end up winning by like 10 points. I feel like that usually happens. I don't think it's going to come down to the wire. I think one team is going to be able to ex, one team is going to be able to benefit on a crucial mistake from other team, and they're going to kind of just run with it moving forward. That being said, I don't know what team is going to be able to do it. So
wow,
I
okay,
don't like it's one of I think this is probably one of the hardest questions to like ask someone who you think is going to win if you actually know both teams well, right? Like a lot of
right,
teams
right,
know Sub
right,
Zero and they're kind of like, oh yeah, for sure Sub Zero, but it's literally not that at all. Kaihan has an amazing team. They have amazing athletes. They have amazing coaching, and they know what they're doing. Same thing with Sub
right.
Zero. Amazing coaching, amazing athletes, and they also know what they're doing. And again, both these teams are used to each other. It's not like it's not like they only see each other here. They see each other everywhere they go when they go to travel and they play for each other. They always play versus each other, and it's not like one team always wins. They're always sharing wins and loses, right? Well, we won here, you guys won here. We won
Mhm.
here, you guys won here. So it's something that's it's crazy to see, to be honest with you.
All right. I mean, so I talked about obviously the All Stars for Sub Zero. I want to make sure I throw some respect on the names of some of the all stars for Kayam. Alexandre Fournier, obviously she leads that list. She was the defensive player of the year. There's and some other really good. I mean, obviously, hold on, me I should say as well, Leah Duvall, and some other really good players I had a chance to see over the years scorekeeping even this season, right? Like Annie Terriers, like I say, Clara Baudouin. Like there's a lot of players on this team. Like again, you could come on the outside looking in, you might think it's going to be a one-sided affair, but it's not, right? Listen, Cayenne has an equally talented team, right? Just as talented as Sub Zero is, and like I said, it's the experience of playing in outdoor tournaments. Little hidden headline, little storyline here. Emma Racine, who's playing for Cayenne right now. She played this past spring season, so spring 2020, spring/summer 2024 season. She played with Sub Zero team who knocked off Cayenne for the championship in the summer season last year. So obviously now she's on the other side with Cayenne
Mm-hmm.
looking to do the same to knock off Sub Zero now. Again, this is the cream of the crop for the ladies division. Again, it's women's one. I think this will be a fantastic game. I think it'll be closer like the Sub Zero loss was to Cayenne versus the Sub Zero win over Cayenne earlier in the season. I think I'm going to roll with Sub Zero. We were talking before about the Braves. Maybe this is not the greatest addition of the Braves team. I think it's the same thing for Sub Zero. Might not be the best Sub Zero team we've seen all time, but I still think uh, it's a special group of ladies, and I think they'll be able to get a W, get the victory, and get the championship.
Mm-hmm. I also did just kind of add on. I think the reason why Emma played with Sub Zero going into that, I think because they were going to Finland and Sarah was the quarterback. I think they kind of wanted to get
Yeah,
some chemistry going into
makes
it.
sense. Makes sense.
Because
Exactly.
again, if any of the viewers watched Team Canada play in Finland, Emma and Sarah had a crazy chemistry going into there, and she made a lot of big throws, and Emma made a lot of big catches there. So I'm pretty sure having kind of a season them playing together helped a lot.
There you go. So former teammates, now enemies again. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's hop over to co-ed. So we have co-ed 3 here. Trying to find a matchup in my book of notes
Yeah,
here.
so it's
Yep.
anything
And
versus Kiss My
kiss
A.
my ears. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Kiss My A is kind of they did it, they got there.
Yeah. Yeah, again, a little bit of help, I guess you could say. Um,
Yeah,
getting there,
they
but yeah,
got there, which is
yeah,
surprising, right? Because I
yep.
figured it would be Balls and TD versus Kiss My A's, but Kiss My A's did a great job in that semifinal game, beating them 44-27. So
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, they got there how they get there, right? That's all you can ask for. You punch your ticket to the finals, and that's what Kiss My Ace did. Sorry, excuse me. So looking at it right here, so anything the number 2 seed, Kiss My A's the number 6 seed heading into this matchup. Obviously, anything with powerful offense. I mean, 325 points a game in the regular season. Uh, Looking at it right here, these teams did not play each other in the regular season, so going to be the first
no,
time they're going head to head. How do you think this game shakes out?
Kiss My A's. So if Kiss My A's are able to contain, 1 second, I just want to see I had it here before.
Or the quarterback?
No, the rusher. So they have Alex Souls as a rusher for Kiss My A's. So if I think who is it? Let's see. There's no
So
picture.
Leslie Dubois is the
So
cost of D for Kiss
Alex yeah, Alexis Soels. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I have it here on the screen. So their biggest job is going to be able to contain the quarterback because again, Alexi on Kiss My A's is a very defensive guy. He understands how to run a defense. He does
Me.
call the defense like police. He understands what teams want to do, and
Yeah.
he's very that in that way. He's been in the league for a while to kind of as people always say, like I feel like calling a defense versus offense it's a game of chess, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of saying I'm gonna move my part, I'm moving my pawn or my bishop or my queen here to kind of
Yeah.
set you up and to kind of make something happen, right? or I'm going to call the defense because I know you're going to do this, and then we're going to see what's going to happen. You're kind of setting things up. I'm the type of guy that I like to set things up, and I feel like Alexi also likes to set things up. So you kind of give the guy, you kind of give the team, okay, yeah, we'll give you the hook, we'll give you the hook, and all of a sudden we're not giving you the hook. We'll give you something else, and then we're not going to give you the hook. We're not going to give you the hook, and we're not going to give you that. So it's kind of like you're setting something up. That's why I feel like how Alexi kind of uses his defensive mind on working, but they're really gonna have to stop the quarterback from anything. Um,
Yeah,
just gonna bring up
Felix.
his
I don't think there's Felix, Derry, Bernard.
yeah. I'm trying to bring up his stat. So this season he rushed 47 times for 759 yards
Mm-hmm.
and 8 TDs.
Yeah,
He's averaging 17 yards per rush attempt, which
yeah,
is pretty crazy. So you're telling me every time this guy catches the ball, he runs, he's running for 17 yards.
yep.
3 plays, that's a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, he's averaging almost one touchdown per game. I'm pretty sure he gets very close into the red zone where at the point he can't rush anymore. He has to throw it. He has to make the right read to score a touchdown
Mm-hmm.
on the passing. But if they don't have anyone to stop his rushing, if they don't have a rusher, he's going to run all over the place.
Exactly.
He's run versus every single team. When he played pick artist, I have a buddy of mine that plays on the team, and he literally told me our rusher couldn't stop them, and he was able to do whatever he wanted to. Every second play, he said every second play he kind of wanted to run, and if he wasn't going to run, he
Smart
acted like he was going to
time.
run. He kind of
Yeah.
just passed the ball. In that game, he won 8 for 110 yards.
Yep.
So that was their first playoff matchup versus our. That was the first quarterfinal matchup, and then when he played Thunder Villains, he also, I'm pretty sure he ran a lot. I'm pretty sure him and Terry also ran a lot. We kind of looked at it very briefly. He rushed. He only rushed 4 times for 30 yards and a touchdown, but again, still he got his average a touchdown, and I'm
Yep.
sure he was able to use his legs enough to buy himself time and then pass. So
Exactly.
that's two issues that he does, right? He either runs and he's off he goes, or he runs and if you have a certain contain, he kind of pulls it back and he kind of just makes a good pass to his open receiver. Because a lot of times what happens where you take out one way, your halfback that's playing that short zone, he helps your rusher. He comes down, and then if for some reason there's the receiver kind of has like a backlog or like a backdoor hook or something like that, he kind of just throws over the top, catches the ball, and they end up getting a first down from that. So that's two things you're gonna have to defend. One, you're gonna have
Yeah.
Kiss My Ace is gonna have to have a good rusher on him, and have to make sure their coverage is a kind of sneaky where you have guys coming across and kind of shooting type of type of plays where Alexi he knows I'm sure he understands that, and I'm sure he's already planning and plotting what he's going to be doing for this game. But that's definitely going to be something they're going to have to do, because if they don't have that, they're definitely going to lose this game, and they're probably going to lose this game pretty big.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I mean, this is what it comes down to, right? Like, again, there's a scrambling quarterback, keeps plays alive. Talk about Alexi, yes, Solius, I believe his last name is. Yeah, he's gonna have to get on his horse and not just get sacks, but just like contain, like not let Derek Bernard get too far out of the pocket, if you will, and just keep plays alive for his receivers to get open, right? He's gonna have to cause them to get rid of the ball and get rid of it early. But I honestly, I mean, listen, I'll give Kiss My Ace credit. People were saying, okay, they had that forfeit victory where they actually really lost, but they won against B and G's. They responded by dropping a 44 burger, 44 piece on balls and CDs, right? A week later. So, I mean, I'll give them credit. They earned their spot in the championships. I mean, the B and G's forfeit, that's a roster violation, if you will. That has nothing to do with Kiss My Ace. It's not their problem. I think though the train stops here. Anything again, the quarterback we talked about, Derry Bernard, like he's just gonna be able to keep plays alive too long with his legs, and just scramble at will. I've seen Kiss My Ace a lot this season. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team. I just don't think they have the athleticism to keep up with Derry Bernard, who I think is gonna make the game a living hell for them, for the Kiss My Ace defense. So I have anything winning the co-ed 3 championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have anything as well.
Okay. I mean, you could be wrong, but I'm just saying. I'm gonna put if I was betting, I would put my money on anything. All right, let's go to co-ed 2. So the co-ed 2 matchup we have for the finals is LDN taking on the Crazy Frost, and we talked about this game a little bit last week. So again, two really good teams battling for it here. Again, Crazy Frogs beat so again here we had Crazy Frogs beat Team Rocket to get to the finals by a score of 24-10. Uh, and LDN knocked off Red Zone 33-25. Again, a bunch of tickets. Um, how do you see this game shaking out again? This Crazy Frogs team again. We talked about it again last week. They have some explosive players, right? They can put some points on the board. Mattis Danjou is their top receiver, but they have some other guys that can make some plays. Right? Mathilde Silby, Charles Verrell. We talked about, right. I've seen this team play. I like their offense. It's one of those things where like everybody plays a role. Everard LaHue is
Yeah.
the quarterback. He spreads the ball around to everybody. Anybody on this team is capable of making a play short. Almost anyone's able to make a play deep as well. I like the balance with this offense.
Yeah, no, it's both teams are super good. Crazy Frogs at them is we didn't really talk to them. We didn't really talk about them as much, but they're a very solid. They're a solid team. They have athletes again all around. I believe their girls are actually players that play for the University of Sherbrooke, and they also have a girl that plays for the UCAM team.
Yep.
I want to say her name is Matea Sybil, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Yeah, she could ball. She could ball. I've seen her play. She
Yeah.
could ball.
So she's right now she's currently the starting receiver for UCAM. So she plays there. And then you had Lokian also that she played for Connu I think for a year. So they have a and then Frederick and
Yeah, Leclerc.
yeah Frederick Leclerc. She's a player. She's a current player that plays for UCAM. That plays for Sherbrooke, and I don't know the other girl's name is, but um, yeah, so they have girls that could ball out 100%. Sure, again, as I was saying, they have girls that played for University of Sherbrooke, and they have girls that and they have a girl that plays for UCAM, and they also they're the guys around them as well. They're not guys that don't have a football background. All their guys, it seems like they have played flag before. They play, I
Yeah,
believe, they also play in the University of Sherbrooke league as well, right? So and they also play together. So they're a team that they've been playing for together for not. I don't think they played for that long, but they do have that chemistry towards each other. So that being said, that helped them. That helped them a lot. Before coming into the season, I didn't really look. I didn't really look at them. I think I score kept them twice this season, or I scored them once, but I saw them play twice, and I wasn't exactly sure of the roster. But looking at the roster now, like they definitely have the talent to win a championship. As again, they knocked out Team Rocket. They knocked out the team that I thought was going to win the whole thing.
exactly. Yep. Yep.
So going into it, playing a team versus LDN, the only difference that you have between LDN is that, again, you would think the benefit would be on the girls' side for LDN. They're able to match up, but I think the matchups are going to be around the same thing. LDN also has a good girl group around them. They have
Yeah.
a lot of the girls do also play on a higher level. So you have Stella Jean. I think that she's playing with McGill this year. She's super good. She plays for the IG team in Division One.
Yep.
She's super athletic and
Yep.
she's super fast. Then you also have number 22,
Yeah, Marika Bouchard.
Makara. He also plays for UCAM.
Yeah.
And then number 6, I believe she plays for a team as well. So it's not going to be. They both teams have a lot of flag talent. So I don't think both any of these teams are getting advantage. I think if you ask me like if you have top 3 females on each team, I think they're pretty much even out. Regarding the men's side now, looking at that aspect, I think it's going to be really depends on um, what quarterback makes the biggest mistake. Because again, for the men's, you have Samuel. We talked about
Yeah,
it again.
Mambo. Yep.
Samuel, yeah, he's throwing this year, right? And he kind of, to be honest with you, he does hit a lot of his a lot of his players as well. He makes sure he uses everybody very
Exactly,
well,
exactly.
and the same thing goes for Crazy Frog as well. They kind of it's not like you're throwing the ball to one player, you're kind of throwing to everyone. So
Yeah.
there's no huge advantage in
Mhm.
that as well. I think the biggest advantage, and it's going to be the kind of the turning point on who's actually going to win this game. It's going to be who throws. Oh no, sorry, who has the least amount of interceptions. I think the turning point is going to be whoever throws the first interception, and if the opposite team could take advantage of that. So I think if LDN,
All
if
right.
they throw a pick and then Crazy Frog score and kind of capitalize on that, I think that's going to be the turning point, and that's going to be whoever wins this game.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm looking at this. I mean, I've seen both teams play quite a bit the last couple of weeks at least. LDN is a deeper team. They can come at you in waves. Samuel Mumble, like you said, dual threat quarterback. Edward LaRue, he's actually dual threat quarterback as well. Yeah, I think it's pretty evenly matched with guys versus girls and girls versus guys. I'm gonna give the edge to LDN here, just because again I think they're just a bit deeper of a team. I remember the game I score kept for the Crazy Frogs actually had to hold the ball on the sideline because they were six players for the majority of the game. I think LDN's ability to again come at you in waves and to rotate pieces, and this is the key, pieces that are interchangeable, not in a negative way. Again, you could sub one person off, the other person will come off, and there's no real drop off in play. I think that's going to be the key, and that's why I'm rolling with LDN to get the W here.
Okay, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Crazy Frogs.
Okay, okay. And this matchup will take place. It will be Sunday at 2:30 in the afternoon. Again, once again, ever started like all the championship games will be this weekend. Let's go. So obviously we did quad one, the emerging victorious in that one. So let's go to 5v5. So recreational here in the last division we'll be doing. The recreation, it will be Trap Stars fives against the Mercenaries. We said last week again, Mercenaries won the regular season meeting. I believe it was 33-19 just a few weeks ago. Yeah, 33-19, just in week 13, so pretty recent. Mercenaries are the top seed. Trap Star fives are the three seed. Quickly, how do you see this game shaking out?
I think this is going to be probably one of really good games. I think the fact that Trap Stars made it this far, they should be happy about it. I did think they were the number two team coming into this, but they did have a scare against, I think it was Green Monsters that they just beat. And they just beat
Mhm.
Green Monsters 32-34.
Yeah.
So the fact that they got out of that, it's pretty good. Um, for the for the quarterback situation, for Cooper Young, right? So he's the starting quarterback there.
Mhm.
Um, he's gonna have to make sure he uses his weapons quite often, and kind of he's gonna have to look at the mismatches that he sees in mercenaries. So the issue in mercenaries right now, they kind of play. They're a type of more of a co-ed mixed team where they kind of play women's and men's on both sides. It's a
Yeah.
team that they kind of made, which is amazing to see because like they're not playing co-ed, but you're playing 5v5, but you kind of have the mixture of both sides. So one thing Trapstar is going to have to do is that you're going to have to pick on the side, and you're going to have to pick on the weaker side for mercenaries, and kind of just lead with that for most of the games. You have a couple big bodies from Trapstars as well. Like you have so two of their biggest weapons that they could use is Williams Sagbag
Yeah. See bag.
and yeah, William, and also oh no, he's also eligible to play. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. He's not, and not addition. That's a huge
okay,
subtraction for that
so
lineup.
yeah, so I'll rephrase what I say. Okay, so yeah, they're gonna again, they're still gonna have to pick on a side and kind of take advantage of it and kind of use that side for most of the game and kind of go like, okay, guys, listen, we're gonna try to attack one side and kind of
Mhm.
just keep leading with it and start feeding certain players where he has a bit of chemistry more with, and then from the other side, kind of isolate that side and not give them any action, right?
Yeah.
I think if they're able to do that, they'll have a better chance to be able to succeed and kind of get that W, to kind of get that to kind of get the win over mercenaries compared to mercenaries where I think talent wise all around, I think from the beginning of the season we kind of realized that they were pretty much the most talented team. the fact they also have the mixture of both the female and the males going together. I think it was a good mix. Sometimes it's kind of like a hit and miss, especially for some co-ed teams where they do play together, and it's kind of like there's something missing and then you can't fix it enough, and then there's not enough time. But it
Mhm.
just goes to show that mysteries were able to kind of get over that hump way before, and that's the reason why they finished the season 9-1. So regarding them, I just think Maya as the quarterback kind of just has to realize, and I think she kind of got used to a bit that the game's a bit faster compared to women's, and she's gonna have to just make sure that her reads and all the balls that she does throw comes out faster compared to if she's playing quarterback for a women's division where teams that are shooting it's a bit slower and the pace is a bit slower. But the fact that she already played 10 games plus going to playoffs,
Yeah.
uh, I think she's kind of used to that, so I think she can be fine. So
Yeah.
for mercenaries, I think they just have to keep doing what they've been doing all year long, pushing the pedal to the thing. Gino's, pretty sure Gino's in that huddle as well. I believe he played. He's plays. He's in the rock.
He's coaching them up. He's literally coaching on the
Yeah,
sideline.
exactly. I
Yeah.
get, and he's also playing as well too. So I think he does a good job there. So I think they just have to make sure they don't switch anything. They just kind of keep doing what they're doing, and just kind of just picking on trap stars here and there, nice and easy, making not overthrowing anything, not doing
Right.
anything too crazy. I think they should be fine to get the W. And I think trap stars have to just make sure that they're shooting a lot of zones faster, taking away a lot of the faster reads that Maya's gonna want, making her feel uncomfortable, making her feel uncomfortable and going and throwing balls where she's not used to throwing, and also just scoring on offense. So they're able to keep up if Mercenaries do end up scoring a lot of points. So it doesn't go to a point where they don't get out. So they to a point where they don't lose track of the score, and they're not down by too many points before it's too late.
Okay. Who do you have winning this game?
I'm gonna go Mercenaries.
Okay, same here. I'm gonna go Mercenaries. I saw the first meeting. A lot of missed tackles by the Trap Star Fives, but just Mercenaries was a better team, and I think they emerged victorious again. 5v5 intermediate, number 3 seed Primo against number 5 seed CTE. Primo won both meetings in regular season, 31-26 in week 1, and then 45-25 in week 13. So that's a couple weeks ago. What does Primo need to do to get the 3-game sweep and emerge as champions?
Just gonna open it here. So it's Primo versus
CTE, yeah.
CTE. Yeah. Um. So right now CTE is kind of on fire.
Mhm.
The last matchups that they have, I'm pretty sure the rosters weren't as consistent as for CTE. So I definitely think it's going to be a big difference between that. Again, CTE has added AJ, and I believe he's eligible to play. He was kind of telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got myself on the roster. I was able to get my game." So it's going to be a big difference
Right, yeah, yeah.
between that game. Primal's also a team that they just been playing well together, right? They play. They're a team that they do play 6v6. So the fact that they're playing 5v5 is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a different game, but it's nice to adapt to it. But so they do have that presence. But again, CT is a type of team like backfield penetration, right? It's kind of like around the same roster
Yeah.
regarding
Yeah.
that side. They kind of have they have different type of guys, but it's kind of like the same roster. So they're it's kind of like a Division 3 team that's playing. I would want to say Intimates kind of like a division. The teams that are there, I would want to say it's like kind of like a Division 4B type of talent wise. So I mean, they are playing in a lower category, so they do have that type of advantage. And the fact that the roster has changed and they do have a bit more, they do have a bit of more firepower again, right? So you have Raf, you have AJ, you have Joey, Joey Narrow. That's also huge for
That's
them. And
yeah.
then you have and after Lazara, like it's the same. It's basically it's basically a Division 3 team that's playing in Dimid. So like they do have the
Yeah,
chemistry
yeah,
a lot of the
yeah.
teams because they do play with each other. So I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest issues that Primal's going to have. They're going to have to make those crucial stops against this team to kind of take advantage of it, which I don't think Primal is going to be able to. I think CT is going to. I think right now CT is going to. I think right now CT is kind of in a groove. Kind of showed when they played Blue Dry 7.1, they're able to drop 44 in them. And I talked to some of the guys after the game, and they didn't play that well. And the fact that they feel like they didn't play that well, and they're able to score 44 shows a big difference. Again, I don't think defensive wise they're the best defensive teams. It's a lot of guys that are not used to playing 5-on-5, so it comes to a point where you do have a lot of miscues and you kind of just don't understand a lot of things. But I think they're able. I think they're going to be able to go over the hump and be able to feel that they have enough firepower to score enough touchdowns and get that one or two stops here and there, and they're are going to be able to not have a three streak loss versus Prime One and win a championship.
Okay. Yeah, I think honestly, listen, I give Prima credit, all the credit in the world. They knocked off X Men. I actually thought X Men were going to win that game. Antoine shot back 4 TDs in that semifinal win by Primo over X Men. But I think the run stops here. I mean, yeah, if CT is able to add AJ, and you talked about all the chemistry with that team, basically backfield penetration light is this team. A lot of the same players, a lot of the same names we talked about throughout the entire season. Nick Rapini, Rafi, all those guys. Joey Natero as well, very impact player, both sides of the ball. I think CTE, despite being the lower seed in this matchup, is just too talented for Primo to handle. And I see CTE getting the W in the championship.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. And final game here, 5v5 competitive. Same thing as the Division One final. It is the number one seed. So a little reversal in seeds now. So this time it's the number one seed Flamois Sac taking on the number two seed in the Braves. The Flags swept the Braves in both meetings, beating them 37-31 in week 5 and then 42-36 just a couple weeks later in week 10. So Flag looking for the 3-game sweep in the championship. What does Flag need to do to become the 5v5 competitive champs?
Score. So they're gonna have to
Yep.
score, right? Again, as we kind of talked about it, you can see on my screen, Flag, the last 4 games Flag played, they scored 43,
Mm-hmm.
64, 56,
Yep.
45. So even though 2 of those games were against the U Quebec team, 18 team, they're gonna have to score, right? They've been scoring all year actually along. 41 versus Jameson's, 42 versus Braves, 40 versus Rouge, and then 45th. So they've been averaging about 40, like I would say 38, 40 points per game. So they're
Right.
gonna have to score. They did play the Braves twice, as you said. They played them back in week 5 where they won 37,
31.
31. Um, where both teams pretty much were full force. They both had both their rosters, so there was no I didn't have this guy, I didn't have this guy. It was pretty much
Yeah.
both teams were both fully stacked
Mm-hmm.
and ready to play. And but I believe when they played versus each other in week 9, I want to say I'm just gonna pull it up right here. Flag one, so 42 thirty
Yeah, week
six.
10.
Um, rosters. So Braves are missing a couple players. They're missing Gab. They're
Yep.
missing Gab, and I think they're missing Emil. So they're missing 2 players there, and um, they had a horrible start. They ended up only scoring 6 points the first half and 30 the second half. Flagmon
Right.
went 29 and scored 13. So going back to for all that being said, I just think Flagmon has to make sure they're scoring and they're not getting stopped. One of the biggest issues in 5v5 sometimes when you don't come out firing and you have a slow start and another team starts firing and you have a slow start, there's no coming back to a point where if you're down by about 2 scores, 3 scores in 5v5, it's very hard to come back. You always want to make sure you're ahead or you're very close where you're able to come ahead. We're lucky enough to have the onside kick rule
Mm-hmm.
to apply, so you do feel comfortable when if you're down by 6 without the ball and they go up a two possession score, you do have the back, you do have in your back door, you do have the onside kick, which does help. But a point when you're down by 12 points going into halftime, it does also still affect you, or going by 12 in general. So you just want to make sure that you do score because you know the Braves are going to come out and score. They're a
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
that they're well known to score touchdowns. They're very their play calling is very good and they know what they're doing. So the fact that Flagmois did so well in the competitive this year, going 8-2 and winning a lot of games, just goes to show that they're starting to adapt a bit better. They also are the previous champions from last year, right? They won the first 5v5 championship that we had when we had the 5v5 tournament. So they kind of have a chip on their back right now regarding that situation. The Braves are kind of are trying to kind of come after them because at this point they are the champions for 5v5 for FPF right now. So they're just gonna have to score. They're gonna have to make sure they score. They go score for score with the Braves and converts again. Converts are gonna be big, right? Both teams are gonna go for two. It's gonna be a point where are they able to stop Braves 2-point converts? Are they gonna have a good enough play calling to stop them? And it's gonna be a point where does Flag Moa have enough play calling where they are able to adapt to the 5-on-5 to score 2-point converts as well? Because again, Braves is the type of team where when they do score 2-point converts, if they get you at 3 times, that's a whole score becoming a whole possession.
Exactly.
So it could be you guys are going score for score, but if Braves end up getting 6 points off a convert, that's extra touchdown, which makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference going into this game. So for Flag Moa, they're gonna have to score. For Braves to get this win, for opposite, they're gonna have to slow down Flag Moa. Flag Moa right now is one of the teams where they're gunslingers. The quarterback, Alex, he's so key with his receivers. Where it's a point where Braves like to shoot. They're a team that they like to shoot zones and get into zones and kind of like misread you a bit. But he's a type of quarterback where he already knows where he's throwing. He's not he'll look right, come back left, and throw back right. Post corner post. He's a lot of his guys are running triple routes and they know how to do it properly. Where the fact where Braves are a type of point where they kind of want you not to hit that read right away, and they kind of try to leverage to a different read that you want. So they'll take away the slant and then get into the second level. But he's the type of quarterback where he's not even going to second level. He's going to third level or fourth level. So he's kind of like overlapping it. So he's kind of like he's making it seem like, okay, Ryan, okay, you take away the slant. I don't want the slant. Okay, take away the 10-yard in. I didn't want the in. I wanted to post corner post. And then he throws that and it's wide open because he has so much chemistry with his team. So it's going to be a point if Braves are going to be able to adapt to stop that offensive power. And then it's going to be a point if Flag Moa is going to be able to adapt to score against Braves, whatever Braves shoot at them. Because we both know both these teams are going to score. Braves are definitely going to score as well. And it's going to be depends of what type of game that Jonathan Meyer is going to show to us. Is it going to be a game where he came out last game where he scored only 6 points the first half and then try to play catch up and score 30? Or is it going to be a point where he's going to go punch for punch with Alex Nadu Pease, where we're going to have 25 going into halftime, and then it's going to be like who can make a better second half than the other team on who's going to win this game.
Okay, so let me ask you quickly here. If the Braves have the ball last, do they win? Or if Flag Moa has the ball last, do they win?
If the Braves, but by last, how much time do we have left? We have 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
30 seconds left.
30 seconds left. Braves have the ball. Right. To be honest with you, I think if whether team has the ball with more than 30 seconds, they're going to score.
Okay. This is less than 30 seconds. So 25 seconds left.
25 seconds.
Yeah.
If Braves have the ball with 25 seconds, I don't think they score.
Okay. And what about if it's Flag? If Flag is trailing by 4 points, they have the ball at 25 seconds left. Can they march the field and get it into the end zone?
No, I don't think they score either.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think 30 is like the tipping point.
Okay.
I think 30, but I think both teams are able to score 30 seconds left. I think Flag Moa scored with 30. They had 29 seconds left in their game versus Royal, and they scored. That was 6v6. Sorry, 6v6. But even at that, if you could score a 6v6, you definitely could score in 5v5. But
okay.
I think 30 is well, I mean, it's the same time. It's different, like players in the field, but like time point, I think 30 is like the key amount because you get a first down, the time stops, right? So you get a first down, the time stops, and then you have timeouts, or if you go out of bounds, the time also stops too. So I think 30 seconds is just enough. I also find it crazy when teams are like, oh, like to my head, like you shouldn't be able to score in 30 seconds, but I think teams change their defense so much. It's like, oh, there's 30 seconds left. We have to do like a prevent defense and try to change it up. But I feel just do what you guys have been doing the whole game. Like they know that you want to do that. So just continue what you're doing. Like you may catch them. You know, when you give too much leverage and they start breaking points like that, it's like you're giving so much and they're getting in a bounce, like, and then you realize like, oh, 30 seconds is actually so much time, like, because you can throw the ball in like 5 seconds. So like 5 out of bounds, then you can throw an air 5 out of bounds, and there 5. You're already 30 yards. You have 15 seconds to score a touchdown, and you're at the 10-yard line. You know.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who do you have winning this game?
I'm gonna go flag one. I'm gonna go flag one here. So I said Braves for 6v6.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Flagmore 5v5. I think Alex Nadeau-Pease kind of has mastered a bit the 5v5 format. Okay. I think he's starting to understand a bit more, and his play calling is really good. And I just think his receivers are. I think he has better receivers than. Well, I don't think they're better. I just think their chemistry. I think Flagmore's chemistry is better than the chemistry that Braves have. So Jeremy, I know Jeremy Murphy's new with the Braves, whatever, and then you have James Drysdale that's also new with them. But I think Flagmore has been playing together for so long that his chemistry and a lot of these triple routes and quadruple routes that these guys run, I think they're a bit more on point. And that's the reason why they've done so good together, is because he's able to sling the ball before defensive players can make breaking routes. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that a lot of players have when it comes to 5v5. You don't have time to kind of chill back and do a breaking route when it comes to a quarterback like him, compared to like Braves, where you kind of could sit down and then make a breaking route and maybe get a tip off a ball. There's no tipping this guy's ball. Like, he knows where he's throwing the ball before you know it. Like, the way he some of the routes that he runs and some of the receivers he does, before the receiver even breaks out this route, the ball's thrown. For a defender to defend that, it's very hard, especially for 5v5, because it's a smaller space, but you have one less player to help you out on the field.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So that's going to be an interesting game, obviously. Interesting matchup. We're all going to be looking forward to. That is the top division competitive in 5v5. That game will happen at 7:30 on Sunday. So again, the Saturday of the action starts at 12 noon. We finish at 11 p.m. Same thing for Sunday, May 18th. The action will start at 12 noon with the 5A final. It'll wrap up with 5v5 recreation. Just want to say congrats again to each and every single team and player that will be playing this Saturday and Sunday. You guys have fought hard to get your spots in the final. So again, congrats to you all. Good luck to everybody. Hopefully everyone stays healthy and we have some great games to call. This will be the final podcast of the 2025 winter season. I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure Quasi as well. We will be back for the spring/summer season, doing the podcast for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed everything this season. Big shout out, big thank you to Ali Reza. You have not seen him on camera, but he is in our ear each and every episode, and we would not be here without him. And he was on board for this 3-hour, looking at it right now, 3-hour and almost 12-minute episode, but a little longer than we all thought. But again, we want to give you guys all the info and all that, and give you guys what you guys are here to watch. So thank you for tuning in. Again, like and subscribe, and for streaming, I should say, pardon me. Like and subscribe on the Facebook and obviously on YouTube. I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to this Saturday and this Sunday. Should be a lot of good games, a lot of good action to call. I know you and I are calling some games, Quasi. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, winter championships, I feel like are probably the top of the tier. When you win a winter championship, it's so much better than winning any other season championship. So it's gonna be exciting to see who wins what, and also we have amazing games that are going to be that we're going to see on Saturday and Sunday. So that's also something that's gonna be something that's going to be amazing to see. And also for the folks that can't be watching it at the soccer complex at the Bell Soccer Complex, we're going to have an amazing stream that's going to be able to be watched for the viewers on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. So that's also something that's going to benefit a lot of people that can't make it to the games.
Yeah. All right. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the summer/spring season. And again, like Quasi said, if you can't make it out to Broussard, make sure to check it out on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Brent. Thanks for tuning in. Quasi.
Quasi.
We'll see you guys next time. It's been a long day. Have a good one and enjoy the weather. Get outside, enjoy the weather, and we'll see you this weekend.
Yeah. Good luck for all the people that are competing this weekend as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hope you guys enjoy it.
It is.